Now, because of an earlier crash at 33rd South, it was blocking the right lane. Taking a look at the cameras here, it looks like it has been moved out of the way, but people are still being cautious around those emergency crews and giving them some space. Those delays are still stretching back really to 7500 South all the way in Midvale. Now, we're looking at another spot of slowing due to a crash on westbound I-80. This is going to be in South Salt Lake, just as you cross over to the 7th East exit, kind of in the middle between there and the State Street exit. It's going to be bringing things down to a slow, but it's not going to take very long. And then on the 201, we've just got a little bit of slowing as you head eastbound against 7200 West through Magna. Coming from Provo to downtown right now is going to be about 55 minutes. Andy?
And we've got big delays still, a couple miles of backups in Parley's Canyon because of a crash near Lambs Canyon.
Let's get a look at the weather forecast. 99 is our expected high today, the same tomorrow, 101 Thursday, 104 Friday, Saturday. 105 degrees. It's going to be a hot weekend for sure. Right now, 81 degrees downtown. Inside Sources is coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, people in the Washington Terrace neighborhood are waking up this morning back home and very relieved after the Adams fire came too close for comfort. The fire was just feet from some homes. Jared Stauffer and his family are back home after a day spent in anxiety, worried over their home and property. When the evacuation order came, he says they had moments to act.
You think you know what's going to happen if there's a fire and you're going to grab certain things? Nah, you panic.
Crews say the fire left some minor damage on one home and heavily damaged a trailer. One resident and a sheriff's deputy were injured. The resident was taken to the hospital and the deputy has since returned to work. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, a bipartisan group of senators announced an agreement to move forward on a highly anticipated Russia and Iran sanctions bill ahead of Lindsey Graham's funeral. ABC's Peter Haralambous has the story.
The Senate is expected to move forward with a procedural vote on the bill tonight following Graham's funeral service. The package would impose primary and secondary sanctions on Russia and other countries that support Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The sanctions target Russian political officials and oligarchs, banks and financial institutions, and the Russian shadow fleet, according to lawmakers. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to be on Capitol Hill for the vote. Peter Haralambous, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 380 points. At this hour, we're at 52,586. Coming up, we've got hot temperatures in the week ahead. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from Big Wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
Right now, JCW's has 15 bus and billboards depicting our delicious, mouthwatering hamburgers across I-15. We've also just learned that I-15 averages 15 fender benders a day. Probably a coincidence, but just in case, keep your eyes on the road. Here's what our burgers sound like. Now, with your hands at 10 and 2, safely turn into one of our 5 locations in American Fork, Lehigh, Provo, South Jordan, and Harriman. JCW's. Quality and a lot of it.
My summer plans are now double the fun with double points on gas and groceries with my Rewards Visa credit card from Cyprus Credit Union. Every time I fill up or buy groceries, I earn double points that I can redeem for cashback, gift cards, travel, and more. Make summer spending twice as rewarding. Visit CyprusCU.com.
Cyprus Credit Union. Your future is our future.
Equal Opportunity Lender.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
Our heaviest delays are eastbound I-80 as you come into Parley's Canyon. Very slow, just starting near the quarry and reaching all the way up to Mountain Dell. That's due to a crash that is reportedly blocking a left lane. Otherwise, though, we are seeing some delays dying out, but still in place. Northbound I-15 coming down the hill from the point of the mountain, and then again slow from 7200 south of Midvale all the way up to the I-80-201 interchange. And near there on westbound I-80, you've got hefty delays due to a disabled vehicle and a crash. Westbound I-80 from 700 east all the way over to State Street, pretty dense. Amazing savings at Dave's Bernina in Provo and St. George. Free bundles of Bernina accessories valued up to $4,600 on certain machines. 0% interest from 24 to 84 months in specific models. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, partly cloudy with a 20% chance of showers or thunderstorms this afternoon, a high of 99. Tomorrow, more of the same in terms of temperature and a slight chance of rain in the morning. We'll get up to 105 on Saturday. Right now, it's 81 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio. Utah Heat. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
It seems like Utah Heat special coverage is getting to be a daily event here on Inside Sources, and it doesn't mean that we're not very concerned about it, but it's hard to sleep at night. It's hot during the day. We had record low temperatures. It was high. I'm not saying that right. The low temperature was a record high. It turns out that we were like 82 degrees the other night. It tied the record. Anyway, yesterday you were telling me that your air conditioning was out.
Yes.
That your Puggle, which I'd never heard of before, which is some sort of breed of dog between a pug and a beagle.
Pug and a beagle.
Was struggling. How did both work out?
He did just fine. We had him in the basement, or I had him in the basement while I was here at KSL. And it's not just our It's not just our air conditioner that's out. The electricity in our whole house is out.
So is it your neighborhood or just your house?
No, it's just my house. We have this weird electrical setup that has ancient breakers that need to be replaced, and that won't happen until Wednesday. So we're up at my mother's house. She has this big, lovely house in the avenues, and it has lovely air conditioning as well.
And she welcomed the dog.
Or
she accepted the dog.
She's tolerating the dog. This is a 15-year-old dog that is showing signs of age in a number of ways that are not necessarily good for her carpets. Yeah. Let's just put it that way.
So what we learned was, as I mentioned a minute ago, Jim, and I am with Jim Bennett today. Holly is on vacation, enjoying her time up in, I think, American Fork Canyon with family, a well-deserved break. She and I worked some parades this weekend, and she was able to get away, I think, Sunday or Monday. We talked about this yesterday, but on July 27th, which was yesterday, a low temperature of 82 degrees was recorded just before midnight. So what happened was this. We reported yesterday that it was a record high low temperature.
Right.
84 degrees. But the Weather Service counts it for the entire day. So last night, just before midnight, it got down to 82, which meant we're always thinking of it as the night before, the night of the 26th, 27th was really bad, but it goes until midnight. So last night it got down to 82, just about midnight. So we tied the record low high temperature. Still pretty bad. If you think about trying to sleep at 82 degrees, I mean, that's a hot house during the day, let alone at night. Yes. I mean, it was pretty spooky. Anyway, a lot of our HVAC crews are really busy. Apparently, your electrical crews are really busy, and there's no break in sight. And I'm hearing also, Jim, that in Europe, it's worse. It's almost worse. I think France and Spain are suffering from worst heat they've had ever, and it's even causing some weather-related. I guess there's some phenomenon. I wish we had a meteorologist in here where it gets so hot that it creates it creates its own weather situation. These heat storms kind of a thing. But Europe really struggling.
Well, we visited Paris about 3 or 4 years ago. And it's amazing to me how few public places over there have
have air conditioning. And I think part of that is that they're not really used to these kinds of high temperatures. And the fact that it looks like this is going to become a long-term thing, that this is not something that's just going to vanish as the years go on.
Yeah, I think one of the leaders of Spain said that what I heard this morning was that the climate change problem that we'd been hearing about for so long has finally hit us. Yeah. And it hit us all in the face because we've known about this for 40 years, 20 years. I mean, it's not like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? And I wonder, I'm not trying to be a doomsdayer here, whether we've crossed that, what they call the tipping point, where we're at the point of no return, or whether there's something that can be done. Because there are things that are always being done, like, hey, let's try to get more water in the Great Salt Lake. Well, you can't create more water. You can divert water from other sources to get to the Great Salt Lake because we have the drought. What can we do about the high heat? Well, nothing, seemingly. I've heard of different resources that people have had. Even things like if you put a roof on your house that reflects rather than absorbs heat, it sends it back into the environment, into the air rather, which would make perfect sense. But we haven't done that. It's not like we do that. I mean, maybe we'll do that prospectively, for the next couple of years. But I mean, it's kind of late right now to be talking about what we're going to do about the temperatures because they're here to stay, and it's not getting any better. We've got the Olympics coming up in 2034. Who knows what it's going to be like then? It's frightening.
Well, you working on the ski patrol this last year, I've got sons that are big skiers, and they had season passes up at Solitude. Mm-hmm. And they said this was absolutely the worst year in terms of snow that they'd ever seen.
No question. I mean, 42 years I've been on the patrol. It was without a doubt the worst. Now, I did 30 years at Park City, and we used to do something, Jim, there, and our listeners have probably heard me say this before. We called it America's Opening, where we had a World Cup ski event, the first one in the country. We would be proud of that. And we did it the weekend before Thanksgiving. And we were always skiing on Thanksgiving weekend. We were lucky to open this year at Christmas weekend.
There was no snow.
There was
no,
and when we did open for Christmas, we had a base that we normally would not have opened with. I mean, Powder Mountain and a lot of resorts will say, okay, we won't open unless we have at least 38 inches or 47 inches, whatever it was. Most of the mountains weren't at that level, especially those that didn't have snowmaking. They opened anyway just because you kind of had to. So it was bad, and then it just continued to get worse. It just never came. We kept thinking, oh, February's the wet month. March is the wet month. April's going to be great. Never came. And then the snow melted off early, and it caused a huge problem for the reservoirs because the ground was just absorbing all the water. It wasn't getting down to the reservoirs, and it got record warm. So our trees were all starting to blossom, and then it froze and killed all the fruit.
Yeah.
So northern Utah orchards were really in trouble.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure out ways to adapt to this because this looks like this is the new normal. And
I've always had confidence in the scientific community, and always thought they'll solve the problem. They'll fix it. Like Operation Hail Mary. Did you see that movie?
Oh yeah, I loved it.
I mean, like
great movie.
Somebody's got to do something like that.
We need to find an alien that can come and help us.
Rocky can come and figure something out. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to be pessimistic here about the future, but I mean, we talk about record temperatures every year. Our oceans are at a highest temperature that they've ever been in recorded history. Well, fish can't survive at some levels, and we get algal blooms in a lot of our lakes around here in Utah because they get these high temperatures, and those aren't healthy. You can't even go in the water. So anyway, the lake where I live by, Pineview Reservoir up in Ogden Canyon, is currently being drained. Completely. It's at levels I've never seen before, but that's intentional because they're going to do some work with the pipe. They're figuring, while it's down anyway, let's do something about it. But the boaters up there are really upset.
Well, we would go paddleboarding up there.
Yeah.
And so are they going to refill it? And they're draining it now, but is that temporary or is that permanent?
No, it's temporary. So their plan is, well, next winter when it snows, we'll refill it. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, yeah, let's see how that goes. Oh, well, we always fill it every winter. Well, we didn't this winter, so.
Well, the year before this one, we had a really wet winter.
Yeah, we did. And a couple of years ago, we had almost like a record wet winter. It wasn't cold by any means, but we had like 400 inches at some of the resorts. I think maybe Alta, those areas got like 600 inches. It was great. It was a lot of water, very good for us. And maybe this year will be different. Who knows? We'll get that. We did get some rain early spring. It just wasn't what our hydrologists like to have in sort of that reservoir of water up on the hill. I shouldn't use reservoir, but the snow that we can count on to sort of trickle down instead of the rain that just blasts us and creates floods and whatnot. Anyway, speaking of fire, heat, whatnot, we're going to shift to arson. And the man accused of setting a fire at American Fork Canyon is in court today. We talked about it briefly yesterday, but he's got court today. We're going to talk about the psychology behind wildfires and what people do this time of year to cause some of the problems that we're dealing with. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or back problems, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. I could do my job and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's gonna be. It's gonna be positive.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
As we celebrate America 250, KSL presents Utah Cornerstones, honoring the businesses that built our past and continue to shape our future. Some things in Utah just keep growing stronger with time. What began as a family farm in West Layton, land worked by generations of the Stevenson family, grew into J&J Produce in 1970, serving the community from a simple covered Army barracks. Today, J&J Garden Center is Utah's largest producing nursery, with over 100 acres of locally grown trees, plants, flowers, and garden favorites. Through decades of growth, one thing has never changed: their commitment to quality, knowledge, and treating customers like family. Visit J&J Garden Center in Layton and discover why generations of Utah gardeners continue to grow with J&J. J&J Garden Center, rooted in Utah, growing for generations. Utah Cornerstones on KSL News Radio.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance. And now we're customizing this ad for your morning commute to wake you up, which could help your driving. Science says that stimulating the brain increases alertness. So here's a pop quiz. How many months have 28 days? What gets wetter as it dries? What has keys but can't open locks? If you don't want to hear the answers, turn off this Liberty Mutual ad now. 12 months, a towel, piano. Enjoy being fully alert.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Inside Sources. Utah Fire Watch.
It's either Heat Watch or Fire Watch, but there's a lot going on today. And I we talked about this for a minute yesterday, but it made me think a lot when we talk about, when we're going to talk about an individual who had court this morning for starting fires. And I have, in my own experience, Jim, as a criminal defense lawyer, thought about people with various, I guess you could call it addictions to drugs, to, improper sites, that you can get on your internet, things like that, and gambling. But arson is a little, for me, it just seems like a different animal. But, I mean, people do seem to have some predisposition to want to start fires.
Well, I just think back to the movie The Dark Knight, and Alfred the Butler is telling Bruce Wayne about the Joker, and he says, some people just want to see the world burn.
Yeah.
And I think that's really a description of this. There's some kind of pathology there, that this is just something that some people want, and it's destructive and it's dangerous, but I don't know that there's a way to explain it or justify it.
Yeah, if any of you have thoughts about this or want to text us at 57500, my co-host today is Jim Bennett. He'll be able to look at those, and we can talk about those. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the segment. But we're talking today about Conrad Jared Larson. Of course, he is presumed innocent at this point. You asked me about that yesterday, why I always say that. I guess it's because I'm a defense lawyer. And I just say it's what I say in my opening statements every time I'm with a jury. Hey, members of the jury, my client is presumed innocent. And then at the end of the trial, they say, thanks, Skordas. He's not anymore.
He's not. He was presumed innocent. He's been proven guilty.
But the state did a pretty good job. So anyway, this man is accused of 3 counts of arson, one involving property damage, one involving damage that endangered human life, and another count that involves danger to human life. What they're alleging, and I think we talked about this for a minute yesterday, is that he started 3 fires up in the American Fork Canyon area near what's called Timpanuki Road. One was on July 5th. A camper up there saw him in a bathroom filling a 2-liter bottle of soda, a 2-liter soda bottle with water. They recognized him from somebody that had some previous encounters up there. On July 6th, firefighters responded to 3 small fires in the area. The same witness saw him, the person who was camping up there apparently saw him running around the night before. They were started independently. And by the way, there are arson investigators. I used to be in the arson task force for Salt Lake County DA's office and took some classes in arson. But these investigators, they can go, I don't know how they do it, even though I studied it. They can go to a fire and find the source, and they've got dogs that can look for accelerants, things like that would start a fire. They can figure out, they're really, really good at it. I mean, it's like an expertise that it's an art.
No, I had a neighbor that was a fire marshal, and he was talking. He actually told me how I could burn down my house and not get caught. I'm not going to share that information over the radio, but he talked about specifically the different ways that they can find these things out, and they really are very expert at this.
I've represented and prosecuted a number of people involved in arson, and a lot of people do think they can do it without getting caught, but people make dumb mistakes. Yeah. I mean, they don't follow the textbook. Anyway, this fellow didn't either. He was accused of starting a fire on the 5th of July, another one on July 14th, and a third one on July 20th. And each time he's either recorded or seen in the area running around, and then it's questioned. And by the way, this kind of goes back to what we talked about before. He's got a prior conviction. He was convicted apparently 10 years ago of a fire. He started one, not allegedly, because he actually pled guilty to it. So in 2017, and they said, well, he was, he felt like he had been cured or whatever. He wasn't going to cause a problem again. But it's like we talked about at the outset. Sometimes these people get something in their system that they just want to go start fires. or something else.
Well, and how do you find out that someone is rehabilitated from something like this? I mean, we don't understand the motivation behind it, so how do you understand that? How would you be able to say, okay, they're no longer a danger to society?
The proof is in the pudding is what I always say. Like, okay, because people will tell me that, hey, I quit using drugs. Okay, so did I.
But I didn't start.
Yeah, right. Well, I haven't used drugs in 5 years. I'm like, neither have I. So let's see if you can go 6 years. Let's see if you can go 7 years. You know what I mean? Like, they don't give you a trophy for being clean for a year. I mean, it's great, and I don't mean to downplay it at all. I understand addiction, but what I tell people when they say I'm cured, it's always, well, let's show. Prove me. Let's go get you tested. I mean, if he goes 10 years without starting a fire, or probably without getting caught starting a fire, that would tell me as an attorney he's crossed the bridge, that he's done okay. I mean, 10 years is a good number. It's probably a great, if you look at AA and some of those people.
Or he's gotten much better at hiding his
right,
fires.
But then something causes him to get back out there and start doing this. And another thing they say about arsonists is they love to go watch their fires. They kind of come back and observe it. Our friends at KUTV actually did an article just about the whole the psychology of arson, and it's a really interesting article. They've talked to some people who do some fire investigations, and just talking about the people that do this. If you look at the statistics for Utah this year, Jim, we've had, I'm just going to make up a number, something like 500 fires. 2/3 of them were human caused. Now, that doesn't mean intentionally human caused. Some people are just sloppy and they don't put their fires out, or they're dragging their chains, or they're shooting their gun or whatever. But 2/3 of the fires, and I would assume that that's probably true worldwide, are human caused. So if we have 2,000 fires this year, and chances are 1,400 of them were created by humans. Think of the difference we'd have in our fire mitigation if we got 2/3 of our fires didn't occur because humans got the message they weren't supposed to start the fires.
Well, as you're talking about that, I thought, who would be so careless as to start a fire like that? And then I remembered my experience on a Christmas night when I threw away the hot ashes of all the wrapping paper I'd burned in the bin that said, "Do not throw hot ashes in here." And we call this the miracle of the Christmas poo because my youngest son was a baby and had this big blowout diaper that I went and took all the way out to the bin, which had burned all the way down to the ground. It had caught fire. And my electrician brother-in-law came over the next day and said, "You were minutes away from this igniting the bin next to it and just bursting up and catching your eaves, and your whole house would have caught fire if you hadn't gone out with that diaper when you did." So I even wrote a song called "The Miracle of the Christmas Poo." So I don't know if that's appropriate to play on KSL. Probably not. But I, when you that's an indictment of me. I understand how you can be careless with this, but if you're purposeful in trying to set fires like that, that's something I don't understand.
Did it scare the heck out of you?
Oh yeah, it was terrifying.
Was it literally on Christmas?
It was Christmas night. It was the night at the end of Christmas. We burned up all the wrapping paper because I guess I like to see my things burn. I like fire.
Yeah.
And I don't do that anymore now as penance for my experience back then. But
I kind of miss the old fireplaces that we had, although they were fraught with peril. Now we have the gas log, you know what I mean, with the glass in front of it so you can't touch it or you can't throw anything in it. Not that you would anyway, but, to stay away from that. Anyway, it does seem like we often get, there's no shortage of arsonists in our state, people who intentionally start a fire. And by the way, under Utah law, even if you carelessly or recklessly start a fire because you didn't put out your fire in your fire pit, or because you were shooting a gun in an area that you shouldn't have been, or what's happening right now, people are shooting off fireworks when there are signs, don't shoot off fireworks.
Right.
Now, those people aren't trying to start a fire. That's not their intent. They're trying to shoot off fireworks. But if the firework starts a fire, they're going to be civilly, in other words, financially, and criminally, in other words, they're going to get penalized for starting that fire under Utah law. And by civilly, I mean if they take 3 or 4 firefighters to go up there and put it out, you're going to pay their wages. You're going to pay whatever the city or the county or the state paid for them. And if it's criminal, you're going to pay fines and fees and not necessarily go to jail for fireworks, but you could. I mean, it's a misdemeanor. It carries up to 6 months in jail.
But you're also liable for all the property damage, too.
Absolutely, and the property damage. So if you burn your neighbor's shed, you're going to pay for the neighbor's shed. He doesn't have to sue you. It doesn't have to file a lawsuit. The state will put that in what they call restitution as a part of the criminal case, and you will pay for it. People don't realize that, but I've had cases where some of these people start fires and they end up burning their neighbor's cabin, and they're like, well, insurance will cover it. Maybe so, but insurance will come after you as well. Yeah. And say, okay, that's great. We're going to pay the claim here, but you're going to reimburse us. Insurance companies love to do that because they can get the money back. Anyway, enough on fires. Let's shift gears when we come back, because there's a lot going on in Congress right now, and one of which is our own Senator Lee is telling Congress maybe they should skip August recess and focus on passing the Save America Act. But will that really make any difference? We still don't know if they even have the votes to pass it. We'll talk with our congressional correspondent when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Senator Mike Lee is calling on Congress to work through their August recess, saying they shouldn't be able to leave town until they vote on the Save America Act. KSL News Radio's McKenna Rodriguez has details.
Lee has been a big proponent of the Save America Act, which says that people must require proof of their citizenship to register to vote. He wrote on X that Congress needs to pass the bill more than they need a summer vacation, which is supposed to last 37 days and begin next month. Trump had similar thoughts, saying on Truth Social that Senate Majority Leader John Thune should not allow for anyone to leave without first passing this bill. No Democrats in the Senate support the Save America Act, with Democratic leader Chuck Schumer calling it a despicable voter suppression bill. McKenna Rodriguez, KSL News Radio.
Florida GOP Senator Rick Scott says the Senate should delay their summer recess to pass the Save Act. He spoke to ABC's Lindsay Davis.
Why do you feel that this is important to do?
Well, I always think about it growing up. My mom wouldn't let us go out on the weekend until we got, clean the house. It's the sort of same thing here. We know that, number one, people all across the country, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, want secure elections. So we've got to do everything we can to get the Save America Act passed. We've got to have voter ID to vote.
He says the voter ID portion is the priority. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 571 points. That's over 1%. We're at 52,780. Coming up, we've got a heat wave in store through the weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:31. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
What if I told you that 4 weeks from now, everything could feel different in your life? Your energy, your weight, the way your clothes fit. That is what the SOTA Dynamic Diet is built to do. And right now, listeners of this show can get 4 free weeks when they call 866-800-SOTA, that's SOTA, and mention KSL News Radio. Now, summer is not over. We're still in July, so 4 weeks can still make a big difference in your life. And you can still get into your summer clothes and enjoy that weight loss like I did. SOTA actually believes that weight loss should be temporary, but the results should not be. So instead of putting you on shots and pills, medications that you have to take the rest of your life, SOTA teaches you how to eat for your body and keep your weight off for good. They have trained nutritionists who call you and follow up with you. They put you on a diet, and they did the same for me. Remember, you can get 4 free weeks when you call 866-800-SOTA, mention KSL News Radio, and remember, SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
Amy Cox did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. And with that money, she decided to treat herself to an anti-aging red light mask. Will she look like a horror movie villain every night? Yes. Will her boyfriend Kevin be scarred for life? That's certainly a risk. But it's Amy's savings, and if she's willing to risk her relationship for smooth, wrinkle-free skin, well, bye-bye, Kevin. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
When you see this in your kitchen,
The stainless steel fridge is covered in fingerprints.
you hear this.
Leslie, people are going to think you were raised in a barn or by wolves
or raised in a barn by wolves.
Fortunately, Wyman Stainless Steel 3-in-1 cleans, shines, and protects to give you the best shine. A spray and a wipe will have your fridge shining like a mirror.
Wow, my fridge looks brand new. Your fridge looks amazing, Leslie. Sorry, I was being a little dramatic earlier.
Your kitchen says a lot about you. Let it brag with Wyman.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and I've been a fan of Hale Center Theater from the very beginning. But there is something about this season that is just off the charts. Maybe it's due to the 3 stages now, which accommodate an amazing variety. Take, for example, showing right now on the Beehive stage, Thornton Wilder's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel and Tony Award-winning play is an absolute must-see. It's Our Town. This is a touching story focusing on 2 families in a small town, the sorrows, the joys, the reflections of lives well lived. And then, coming up, we've got Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. The music, the staging, the pure fun of it makes Joseph an all-time favorite. And in mid-August, it's Moriarty. This is the time for you to lock down your tickets for all of the wonderful productions at Hale Center Theater. And all you have to do is go to hct.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at uccu.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
Just the last of our northbound I-15 delays still working their way out. A little slow from the south interchange up to about 4,500 south. But again, they're starting to break up already. Eastbound I-80 has really lightened up now that the crash is cleaned up. It's still a little slow in the Mountain Dell area. And then, of course, that right lane very full between Kimball Junction and the US 40 turnoff. Westbound I-80 coming into South Salt Lake. There is still that crash, though the delays behind them have cleared out since they're out of traffic in the left shoulder. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, the heat is here to stay for a while. Today, 99 for a high, the same tomorrow, 101 Thursday, 104 Friday, 105 on Saturday. Right now, we do have some showers in the vicinity and 81 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, that's our political sounder, Jim. Congress is about to head out to D.C. for a month, but Utah's own Senator Mike Lee says, you know what? Maybe you should stick around and forego your trip back so that we can pass the Save America Act instead.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. The Save America Act doesn't have the votes to pass. We've known for a very long time it doesn't have the votes to pass. Why would Senator Lee think it'll pass if Congress is trapped in D.C. and can't go home?
Yeah, I don't know, unless he's thinking being trapped in D.C. until it passes will fly. I don't know that will, but let's get to our expert. We have Cami Mondo, a Deseret News congressional correspondent with us. Cami, thanks for joining us again this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So what are we hearing about Mike Lee's suggestion that they stick around and try to vote on this act one more time before everybody takes a break for their August recess?
Right. And, and these August recesses always happen when they have been stuck in D.C. for so long that everyone is kind of going stir crazy. And maybe that's something that Mike Lee wants to use to his advantage to get something moving on the Save America Act. But as you've already noted, there is no path forward as of right now. They still don't have the 60 votes for the legislation. They don't have the 50 votes to get rid of the filibuster. So GOP leaders are kind of scratching their heads of, why this is becoming such a demand that now 7 GOP senators are asking for.
Well, so is there any chance of success here? Is this a strategy? This seems to me like just a lot of grandstanding without any actual potential for movement on this. Am I right on that?
Right. And you can even ask, some Republican senators up here are saying the exact same thing. They're saying this is a pointless exercise. It's futile. There are a lot of incumbents who need to go home and campaign for their competitive races. And so this really is just an opportunity for Republicans to stay here and not really get much done, because again, you're not going to move anybody one way or the other, especially if you just keep them stranded in Washington, D.C.
Are we hearing, Cami, that there's any leadership in the Republican Party, especially at the Senate leadership, or others who are saying, hey, maybe there's some legs to this, or are they not jumping on the bandwagon either?
Essentially, the only argument they have to keep them in for recess or even any part of recess would be for other legislation that has an opportunity to get passed, whether that's appropriations or the budget resolution or the Russia sanctions bill. They said they would stay, during recess for any of those bills if they have legs. But for the Save America Act, they still say, if you can show me a pathway forward, we can do something, but we just don't see it there right now.
Well, this is obviously President Trump's main priority here. He talks about the Save America Act everywhere he can. He didn't sign the housing bill because he says he's not going to sign any legislation until the Save America Act passes. Is Senator Lee doing this in order to curry favor with the president?
It does seem that they are working in lockstep. And again, that does bring up another interesting dynamic to this, is that if Mike Lee, as he has promised, he wants to put adjourning for recess up for a roll call vote, which is a very rare thing to do, but it would force every senator to either say, yes, we want to go on recess, or no, we don't, which would put Republicans who want to go home, want to go back to campaign, it would make them have to disagree with Trump on paper. And so that's another thing that you're looking at. You can face the ire of the president, who has demanded that they stay in during recess, demand that they terminate the filibuster, and actually have to go on record to defy him.
Okay, but you can lead a horse to water, and you can lead the Senate to stick around. But Cammie, that's only one of the two hurdles, and it seems like the greater hurdle is getting enough to pass this. And even those that are maybe don't want to get sideways with Trump, seemingly don't want. I mean, there are not enough Republicans to pass this, even if they do stick around, even if they do miss their break, and even if they do get this on the floor. Are there?
Right. The math just does not seem to change. You can keep them in for as long as you want, but you're not going to get to, again, that 60 votes to pass the Save America Act, which would require Democrats who have said over and over again they're not going to. And then that 50 vote for terminating the filibuster, you won't get enough Republicans. Even Utah Senator John Curtis has said he would not get rid of the filibuster. You're not going to get that either.
Well, so what is the mechanism here? Do the Republicans have to vote to forego the recess? Is that the only thing Mike Lee can do, is call for that vote? And if he does, is that likely to pass? Are the Republicans likely to say, yeah, we're going to forego our recess? Or are they going to say, we got to go out and campaign?
Right. Essentially, yes, it would require that vote if he wants to object to adjourning to recess. It would put up that roll call vote, which is simple majority. And to that point, it actually would turn eyes to Democrats and what they want to do. If Democrats want to keep their vulnerable Republicans in town, they certainly could. It's not really clear how they feel on the issue. I think they're going to let Republicans fight with each other, get that in full view of the American people. And then if that does come up for a vote, maybe you would see some Democrats actually keep them here so they can't go home to campaign. And these vulnerable Republicans, it would only hit them on the campaign trail.
Is this August break an yearly thing, Cammie, or is it something that's specific to election years?
The August recess does happen every year. It really is a chance for them to go home and see their constituents. For election years, they have the August recess and then also the October recess for those who need to go home and campaign.
Well, we've got a text that came in that says there are other issues going on in this country that need more attention than this bill. Mike Lee is trying to curry favor with Trump. There are a whole bunch of other issues that are on the table here. Why is this so essential to Mike Lee that he's willing to go through all of these theatrics to try to get this passed when it's a lost cause?
I think that, too, is exactly what GOP leaders are so confused about, especially because if they go through with what Mike Lee wants to do, which is the talking filibuster, which is basically endless debate until the Democrats blink and they pass the Save America Act. John Thune, who is the top Republican in the Senate, has said this basically just hands the floor over to Democrats and we can't pass any other legislation because we have to focus on this. So it's absolutely correct that if you do turn to the Save America Act in the way that Mike Lee wants, you can't get all this other must-pass legislation through. And so that is a huge issue that GOP leaders are very confused about.
Maybe I missed it, Cammie, but has the House addressed the Save America Act, or would it still need to go through the House?
They've passed two different versions before, but the interesting part, too, is that you'll see a lot of House conservatives, just criticizing the Senate for not passing the Save America Act. But the version that President Trump has been pushing for, that version has not been passed by the House.
Well, if it were to pass, would there be enough time to implement it even? It's such sweeping reform of elections that are usually managed by states, that are always managed by states rather than the federal government. Would you be able to implement this?
Yeah, that's another factor, is that at this point, it's already too late to implement all of these sweeping changes before the November midterms. Federal law says that if you have these changes to voter rolls, it has to happen 90 days before an election. That would come up next week. So it's already too late for that. And also, all of these states are already undergoing primaries and getting their general elections through. That when I've talked to Senator Mike Lee a couple weeks ago, he did acknowledge that it is too late to change anything before the midterm elections. But he's focused on, the long-term picture of what this means for future elections.
All right, Cami, thanks for joining us again. That was Cami Mondo, Deseret News congressional correspondent. And that she said 90 days, and I thought, well, there are more than 90 days, but only a few more. I think yesterday was 99 days before the midterms. So, even if they got together, it's almost impossible to think that they could pass it in the next week, let alone even get it to the floor.
Well, and it's such a solution looking for a problem.
Yeah.
The idea that we have to prevent non-citizens from voting is absurd because non-citizens don't vote.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right. Every once in a while you see one or two that fall through the cracks, but it's not something that, and it seems like most of our states are doing a really, really good job, and we're doing a good job with mail-in voting. We may talk about that later too. And so, like I've said before, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But the administration wants to change some things around, and they have that right to try to do that. And we'll see if Congress takes the bait. Probably not. At least the Senate's not going to. When we come back after the break, I had a birthday last week, and I'm 1 year away from turning 70. And there's a new report out today that says more and more companies are turning to people in their 70s to come back out of retirement and help them out as CEOs for some of these big companies. Is that so much passing the torch? Is it a good idea? We'll find out what you think when we come back.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Need your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Okay, I mentioned before the break, Jim, that I had a very painful birthday last weekend because it's the last one I'll have in my 60s. Next July, I'll be turning 70. And so this was a really interesting article I saw in the Wall Street Journal that says more and more companies are bringing out retired CEOs to run major corporations again. Some of them are in or around the age of 70.
Yeah, and these aren't.
You're a lot younger than me, but
I don't look a lot younger than you. I mean, if somebody were to look at both of us, I think they might think you were the younger one. I've always looked older than I am. But these aren't young guys. These are people who they didn't retire early. These are 70-plus-year-olds. They're coming out of retirement. They're Cracker Barrel, Boeing, Verizon. These are all companies that are looking to these older people to come back and run them. What's going on?
Maybe not such a bad idea, but apparently they, like you said, Cracker Barrel is one. They had a headhunting group that came out, and Cracker Barrel's suffering a little bit. Its numbers are down. They were looking for their next CEO, and they selected a 69-year-old, that's my age, former restaurant executive to lead the chain. Yeah, just a child. Not 70, to help run the company. 69-year-old former executive to come in and take over that company. So, I think there is a lot to be. Now, I look at, I'll get in trouble. I look at Biden and Trump and think, okay, as you get closer to 80, maybe it's time to dial it back. I think that both of them have some sort of issues, that may be age related. And I'm just saying that. Please don't come down on me. But I just think that, anyway, 80 is one thing, but 70, maybe not. I mean, not that I'm in any great shape, but I did a bike race a couple weeks ago, rode 77 miles, and
I think you're in great shape.
Felt pretty good about it. And I like to think that I can stay vibrant until I'm 80. Would I come out of retirement? I haven't retired yet, so I guess that's a rhetorical question. But I don't know that 70-year-olds are such a bad idea to bring out and come and say, hey, you've got the experience, you know what you're doing. Come help us get this company running again.
Well, in Utah, too, age, it's really interesting because we have so many members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the president of the church is, Dallin Oaks is 94, 95 years old.
Probably, yeah, and still looking very, very good.
Yeah. I think in Utah particularly, there is, I think, more acceptance of older people in those kinds of leadership roles, but I don't know if that's true throughout the rest of the country.
Oaks did a sort of a sneaky at the Days of 47 parade the other day.
Oh, yeah?
He was in the parade, but he wasn't really announced. Good for him. I mean, he was very, very, very clever, but he was in one of the cars, and it wasn't marked or anything, but he's out there waving and smiling, had a cowboy hat on, and everybody's like, who is that good-looking guy? And it turns out it's Dallin Oaks, but it was so smart. His wife was really happy. They came by us, and at the time I didn't didn't recognize him because there was just nothing that featured him. He was sort of behind the woman who was the president of the Women's Association with the church. I don't know if it's even called the Relief Society president, but she was the women's president. Anyway, she was the
General Relief Society.
Yeah, she was the what's it called? The Marquis of the Parade, the Grand Marshal, I should say. Anyway, I digressed a little bit. So some of these companies, you mentioned a couple of others that are doing the same thing. Boeing having some problems with its market right now. Verizon having some problems. We're looking at companies they're doing poorly. Cracker Barrel minus 2%, Boeing down 2%, Verizon down 2%. They've all chosen once retired CEOs to come back and to try to pull them out of this funk that they're in. So, I mean, I don't know if it's such a bad thing. We'll see how it goes.
Well, the business environment is changing so rapidly. I think AI has really sort of altered the marketplace in ways that I don't know if anybody can anticipate or understand. And so does it make sense to bring back somebody that is rooted in the ways of doing business in a pre-AI era, or are they the people that are able to adapt to something that to this kind of new environment?
Yeah, and you talked about Cracker Barrel. They're releasing their youngster. She's about your age, 55-year-old, just a kid.
Yeah, there you go.
So they can bring in the 69-year-old. I've often thought in my own life. Of course, I'm enjoying my gig here, and I'm still practicing law. That I'd love to come back and teach in my 70s. I would contact Weber State. I live up there, or Utah State. I live in the northern part, and just go to. I would love to come back and teach. Now, I don't know how the students would respond to a 70-year-old. Maybe the business students or the law students or somebody like that, if you're looking at what some of these companies are doing, might respond favorably to somebody that got a few gray hairs and has had some experience and can say, I've been there, I've done this, I've succeeded at this level, and here's what I did. Maybe the times were different. We didn't have artificial intelligence. We didn't have cell phones. It's been a little while for some of us. But, you can talk about your own successes, and maybe that's of some value.
Well, some of my favorite university professors were these older people that would come back, and I think it's a great way to give back. And as a student, I had tremendous respect for these people.
Our producer, Andy Cupp, has come into the room.
I just have to, as a 30-something-year-old millennial, I just have to chime in on this conversation here.
Okay, good.
I think you're both onto something when it comes to like an advisory role, or a teacher role. I think that in and of itself is super beneficial because there are some really good, especially with business, there are some really good principles of business that are going to continue, like regardless of AI and kind of where things go with that one. So I get that one. But I will say, as somebody who's, coming up in the world, if I see a company go in and they decide, well, let's hire someone out of retirement to lead our company instead of new, fresh, young blood, kind of miffs me a little bit.
Seriously.
It miffs you because you think they're cutting off opportunities for you?
I do. I look and maybe it's my jaded millennial ways. I'm curious if any texters have thoughts on that one. But I do think that it's one of those things that I'm like, give up the torch. Time to pass it on. You did your time. Now go take a break and let somebody else figure it out.
Yeah, but they did. They did give it up. They're retired. And the company's struggling. And so they're like, hey, man, we've got somebody out there that built up a company. Should we bring them back in and let them take a run at it?
But it's very different. This is where I think the differing world of AI and technology and everything else really plays into it. Of, would you really want somebody who built up a company from the ground in 1980 when the world was a very different place and Xerox machines were everywhere to come back and do the same thing for your company now in 2026?
See, I've scared you.
Very different thing?
Because you're thinking of me in terms of because you're always telling me I'm not sophisticated about the modern technology.
It's true. You do struggle with it.
So you're
it's
thinking,
true.
would I really want Skordas to run my company when he doesn't know what an app is? He doesn't know.
No, I mean, to an extent, but I do think it's interesting. A lot of these companies that may find themselves in this situation right now where they're not flourishing, so they're like, well, let's go back to doing what used to work. It's probably because they didn't evolve appropriately. And that obviously is really hard for a big company. The bigger you get, the harder it is to evolve because there's so many different cogs in the machine. But I don't know. I'm just saying
We're talking about Cracker Barrel, Boeing, and Verizon. We're talking about companies that have headhunters, that have people that know what they're doing, that have done some market research and are thinking, we're in a jam. Let's get somebody with some gray hair in here.
I'm just saying, do I want to frequent Cracker Barrel, fly on a Boeing plane, or get my cell service from Verizon now? Probably not.
Oh, come on.
I want somebody who's going to give the younger folk a chance.
Okay, you're in the middle here, Jim. You're between us.
Well, I always get accused of being a boomer, which drives me nuts because I'm firmly Gen X. Somebody says, okay, boomer, and I just want to, I don't know, anyway. But it's just really interesting to me to see people who look at other people and say, well, because of your age, you are not capable for any reason, whether it's you're too young or whether it's you're too old. I think the proof should be in the pudding. I think if you know what you're doing, you can demonstrate that by what you do. And I think that there's nothing wrong with looking at healthy, vibrant 70-plus-year-olds who can demonstrate that they are capable. I don't think there's anything wrong with making use of that experience.
Okay, we're going to come back a year from today, Jim, and we're going to look at Cracker Barrel, Boeing, and Verizon and see if their companies have done better based on their hiring old people. When we come back after the break, some new developments in the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students. Let's talk about what he's doing petitioning a judge to withdraw his guilty plea when we come back.
FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a police officer was injured after a man walking on railroad tracks assaulted the officer when he started asking questions. Kaysville police responded to a welfare check after someone reported the man on the tracks. That man has since been identified as Walter Brown. The officer is recovering, but Brown was booked into the Davis County Jail for assault and trespassing. A Utah man died over the weekend while in police custody. It happened in Kemmerer, Wyoming, in the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. The man, identified as Tyson Alvarez, was at the Oyster Ridge Music Festival when he was arrested. He is accused of possessing a controlled substance, breach of the peace, and disorderly conduct, including spitting on an officer. The Sheriff's Office says he collapsed while being booked, and officers tried life-saving measures, but they were not successful. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, lawmakers and other notable dignitaries are paying their respects to Senator Lindsey Graham, who died 2 weeks ago at the age of 71.
Lindsey was a towering figure here in the Senate and on the international stage. His leadership on national security and on our national defense is well known. I traveled with Lindsey all over the world as part of congressional delegations, and I saw firsthand just how much he was respected by our allies.
Senator John Thune spoke about Graham as members of Congress gathered in the Capitol Rotunda. Graham's funeral will take place in the National Cathedral. He will be buried tomorrow in South Carolina. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 643 points at this hour. That's 1.25%. We're at 52,856. Coming up, another small chance for pop-up showers today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
You're in charge of ordering boxes. Small boxes, big boxes, really big boxes. You're in charge of tape, labels, mailers, bubble wrap, extra bubble wrap, just for fun. You're in charge of warehouse cleaning and safety supplies. Good thing there's Uline. Thousands of quality products for your business and warehouse needs, always in stock, ready to ship same day, and backed by Uline's legendary 24/7 customer service. Uline makes it easy because you already do enough. Uline, we warehouse for you.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org.
One Kind Act a Day is a program from the Semnani Family Foundation. One Kind Act a Day seeks to create kinder communities by inspiring daily acts of deliberate kindness. Their work includes programs in schools, businesses, communities, faith groups, and prisons where they help enhance the culture of kindness and increase a sense of community. The world always needs more kindness. No matter what our background or beliefs are, kindness towards others and ourselves is something that everyone can get behind. Kindness can be big or small, but the ripple effect can reach out in ways that we don't even realize. Wouldn't life be better if we were all a little more kind? You can do your part by starting today. All it takes is one kind act a day. Find out more and take the pledge of kindness at thepowerofkind.org. That's thepowerofkind.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Auto low rates as low as 4.74% APR. And here's Cormac Bone.
Eastbound I-80, that right lane still delayed a little later in the morning due to earlier delays that were through Parley's Canyon behind a crash. It's a little slow as you approach the US 40 turnoff. Otherwise, though, freeways looking really good speed-wise. We have a couple of issues, though. Southbound I-15, there is a disabled vehicle at 7200 South, out of traffic and in the right shoulder. And then out of traffic on the left shoulder, there is still this crash westbound I-80 at State Street. Again, out of traffic, so no delays behind him. Help maintain fun at Lagoon, now hiring full-time, year-round ride maintenance technicians and HVAC technicians. Apply at lagoonpark.com/jobs. Must be 18 or older. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Partly cloudy today with a high of 99 and a 20% chance for a pop-up shower. There will also be some wildfire smoke in the air and an overnight low of 79 degrees. Right now it's 85 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So we talked about this for a minute yesterday, just kind of at the end of the show, but Brian Kohlberger, the man who has now pled guilty to killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022, is asking Jim to be able to withdraw his guilty pleas that were entered a year ago. And people have asked, well, is there some time limit to that? But he's filed a petition in the court there in Idaho saying, I want to withdraw my guilty plea.
Well, you know, you've said, you always talk about how someone's presumed innocent. Well, everybody's presumed innocent until they plead guilty.
Yeah. He's not presumed innocent.
He's not presumed innocent anymore.
I'm going to say.
Can he do that? Can he withdraw a guilty plea, particularly this late?
Well, he can ask, and that's what he's doing so far. And that's a great question. So under what authority would he be able to do that? So typically, and what I like about Idaho, and I love talking about Idaho cases because their law is so much like Utah's. So it's very similar. A person can, once you enter a plea, they usually schedule your sentencing for 30, 45 days after that. You can withdraw your plea or at least ask to during that period of time. But after you're sentenced, it's very much more difficult to withdraw your plea. And even during that period, you have to have a reason. You can't just say, I changed my mind. So what he's done is he's filed essentially a writ of habeas corpus saying, and you can file those within a year. And I looked, he actually pled guilty in July of 2025, so he's barely under.
So he's barely in the time frame.
He filed it within that time. Apparently, it looks like he filed it just about the end of the day, and is asking the court to allow him to withdraw his plea. And what he's claiming is about the only thing you really can complain at this point, which is he got bad legal advice. Not that he was having a bad day or he changed his mind or whatever. Not that you could withdraw for that anyway. But he's claiming what they call ineffective assistance of counsel during the criminal proceedings. And he's claiming they convinced him to falsely confess and that his lawyers told him to give a false plea, that they basically told him, you need to take this plea even if you didn't do it. So he said, I want to withdraw my plea. And he's filed a petition. Now he filed it pro se, which means he doesn't have an attorney yet. He'll probably have one appointed.
He's fired his attorneys?
Well, so here's the problem.
They were appointed before.
Yeah, his attorneys were court appointed. And if you are taking issue with your attorneys, they can no longer represent you because the attorney can't argue, I was bad. You know what I mean? Like, you can't argue your own ineffectiveness. So by definition, he'll have to get new attorneys.
Okay. Well, so the reason, my understanding, you were talking about this yesterday, but the reason that he had had pleaded or pled guilty is to avoid the death penalty.
Right.
Is that right? So,
yes.
So if that's withdrawn, the death penalty is back on the table.
Absolutely. 4 times. I mean, so this was a quadruple homicide. And if you recall, that's a great question. The victims' families were upset that the state of Idaho gave him the plea. So I know that some of them are chiming in saying, this and that about him, and they're not friendly to him at all. I mean, they think he's a monster. But I could imagine 1 or 2 of those parents saying, let him withdraw his plea. Let's go back to the death penalty. You know what I mean? Let's do this right and do what we need to do. So, yeah, the death penalty is absolutely back on the table if he's allowed to withdraw his plea.
Well, would the court take into account the wishes of the victims' families? Would that have any weight at all?
That's a great question. So the state certainly does that in entering a plea bargain. And the court will make sure that the state has talked to the victims' families. I don't think that the court's going to ask the victims' families if they consent to his motion. I don't think they're going to be part of that equation. The Attorney General, now the case was handled by the county attorney, but the Attorney General who handles these kind of writs is saying we will do what's in the interest of justice. So that's a great question. I don't think that the victims' families will have input one way or the other. They may, well, they'll have input obviously, but I don't think that that's going to be determinative of what happens here, their wishes.
Well, so what do you think is going to happen here? Do you think that they're going to withdraw the plea?
No, I don't think there's much chance of that at all. And I'll tell you something about Kohberger. I mean, he's in my opinion, and I'm not a psychologist by any means, but he's a sort of a classic narcissist. I mean, he misses the attention that he got. And he's pled guilty, and he's got a life without any chance of walking out of prison. So he's been forgotten about. So he can get back to court, he can make his statements, he can be on TV, he can be, brought up into the court and have different accommodations. That's what he's doing, in my opinion. I don't think he wants to withdraw his plea. He just wants to be somebody to pay attention to him again.
He wants the spotlight back.
Yeah, right.
Well, so how compelling is the evidence against him? There really doesn't seem to be much doubt that he did do these things.
So it wasn't a particularly strong case, and I do want to say something.
It wasn't a particularly strong case?
Not in my opinion. I mean, they had a couple pieces of evidence that were pretty good. One was there was a knife sheath found at the crime scene that had DNA on it that was a statistical match to him. That's pretty compelling. And they were killed by a knife. The victims were all killed by a knife. They never found the knife. But a sheath that would have fit a knife about that size was found there, and it had some DNA that matched his. It wasn't like 100% sure. And then they pinged his phone, and they found that he had been near the victim's house 12 times before the murders, just within a few days of that. So he was arguably sort of staking the place out. He left his knife sheath. So those are 2 pieces of evidence that were pretty good, but there wasn't a lot more than that. I mean, I think the state would have prevailed. I think they had a compelling case. He was a creepy guy. I mean, he posted some pictures of himself after this, and it was almost like, hey, I did it. I mean, it was like, I pulled it off.
So the guilty plea, it sounds like he may have gotten bad advice, or that's what he's saying is he got bad advice, but it seems like he leaned into it. If he's posting pictures like that.
Yeah.
So does the court take into account that sort of thing? The fact that he's sort of boasted about doing this since then?
No, I think the court takes into account the what happened when he entered his plea. So that's what's going to be important, and they'll get a transcript of what happened and the questions that were asked of him. Do you understand what you're doing? Is anybody forcing you to do anything? Has anybody promised you to do anything? Do you understand that you're giving up your right to a trial? And do you understand that you won't be able to withdraw your plea after your sentencing? And he would have said, yes, 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 yes. I'm assuming this judge did a great job. You would expect with a quadruple homicide that they would dot their I's and cross their T's. But they go through this plea statement with an individual. And you, by the way, you do this for a shoplifting too. It's a waiver of your rights. In other words, I'm giving up my right to a trial. I'm giving up my right to hear the evidence, to have a jury hear the case, and I'm doing this because I did it, and I'm willing to suffer the consequences. So he had to say, yes, 4 times he had to say I did it or whatever, guilty or yes, or whatever the answer was to the question. Those can come back and haunt him too, by the way. He's going to be hard pressed to say, but I lied. So they'll go through the record. I don't think there's much chance of it, but I don't know that he cares. I mean, he's going to come back to court. He's going to be on TV like he was yesterday.
Well, yeah, he's already getting more attention.
He's getting some attention. He's getting some press. He's getting some things. And the hard thing for me, just having been a prosecutor for 8 years, Jim, is what the victim's family, they don't want to think about this man anymore. He's gone. Yeah. He's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. He will die in prison. And that's what their wishes were. Now he's back again. They're having to relive it. That's unfair to them, but that's who this man is.
Well, so it sounds like if the judge was meticulous, that he was asked not only did you do this, but he was asked, was anybody forcing you to do this? How much weight does that kind of a statement have?
A lot. That's going to carry the day. That's why Kohlberger's not going to win this.
Yeah. So that's just bizarre to me.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to be I haven't pulled up the right.
We're going to talk about mail-in voting.
Mail-in voting. Utah has mail-in voting, and it seems to be going well, but there are a lot of people that aren't happy about it. And we'll talk about that when we get back.
Summertime and the saving is easy at Dave's Bernina in Provo and St. George. Ladies, Dave's Bernina makes it easy for you to own a new Bernina quilting machine.
Big savings on embroidery and sewing machines. Come in and find out about the new products to be released in the upcoming weeks. Special pre-order pricing on the all-new Bernina 790 Ultra, 580 and 495 Liberty editions, and the Bernina 660 and 620 Surgers.
Come in now.
24 to 48 months, 0% interest on specific machine purchases. The Bernina 990, 770 Pro, and 570 are on sale, featuring free accessory bundles worth from $2,900 up to $4,600.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North, 550 West in Provo.
So have some creative fun this summer.
Dave'sBernina.com.
Great deals on trade-in machines while they last.
In honor of America's 250th birthday, KSL is highlighting businesses that have shaped the story of our country, especially those whose roots run deep right here in Utah. And in this segment of Utah Cornerstones, we're highlighting J&J Garden Center, a local business that's been in our community for generations. We have with us in studio Andy Stevenson, General Manager of J&J Garden Center. And I'm going to ask you a question that I sort of teased it a little bit before. It's not on your script here because we're supposed to follow that, but I'm going to deviate because I go to J&J and I love the place. But as I'm driving in from the east, I see all these trees and sort of orchards, and I think, is that part of J&J? Is that the future of what's going to be on your lot then in a year or two?
Yeah. So those all come in and we planted. So basically, the ones that you saw probably were planted anywhere from 2 to 4 years ago, depending on what kind they are, whether they're the pine trees or the deciduous trees. But yeah, those are all ours. We still sit on the property itself in about 100 acres is what we still have. That's all into it's all into production or greenhouses or the retail store or whatever. But yeah.
I'm going to give another testimonial here, and I'm sorry. Our ad executive here is going, Scortis, don't do this. But I live up in the valley, up in the Ogden Valley.
Okay.
And so when I go to J&J, and the reason I go to J&J is because they know that's a little bit different environment than Ogden City. You know what I mean? It's a little
for sure.
It's so what kind of training do you give your staff? Because I've never bought a tree there that didn't work out perfectly.
Well, thank
I got to say that
Thank you.
I've got an orchard now in my yard thanks to J&J.
Well, what we try to do is we bring in product, in a smaller size, and then we grow it up so it's climatized here. So even in the spring, at the beginning of every year, we'll bring in all the product in January and February so it comes on naturally with our season here in our climate. So it's not up in the Northwest somewhere in their climate, it's in ours.
Oh, wonderful. Andy, can you stick around?
Sure,
We're going to bring
you
you
bet I
back in
can.
a few minutes, and I'll go back on script.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds
we'll
good.
be right back.
Okay.
You bought an RV, and you got an automatic discount from Progressive by bundling it with your home or auto insurance. That's great, but a serious word of warning every RVer should heed. You don't need to talk about things like dry weight or dump stations. And you don't need one of those expensive water filter straws either. Because the most extreme thing most RVers encounter is a campsite without hookups. So just enjoy yourself. And Progressive's automatic discount when you bundle your RV, boat, or motorcycle with your home or auto insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Wait, everything on this IHOP value menu is just $6?
I told you it was amazing. A huge plate of pancakes, bacon, and eggs is just $6.
Wow.
There's also French toast, a ham and cheese omelet, and oh, they got a BLT and fries now.
Okay, we're coming here every day.
You don't have to tell me twice.
Feast for just $6 with the IHOP value menu. $7 in some locations, available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. We are going to talk about the Supreme Court and the Trump administration asking the Supreme Court to review what happened at a lower court, Jim, and asking them to weigh in on restricting mail-in voting. The Court of Appeals said, nah, it ain't working, and so the Trump administration has gone to the Supreme Court saying, we need you to weigh in on my executive order restricting mail-in voting.
And this is just silly as far as I'm concerned. First of all, this is not a federal responsibility. This is a state responsibility. States implement mail-in voting all over the place, particularly here in Utah. I am so proud of our lieutenant governor, who has stood up to the Trump administration and pointed out that mail-in voting works very, very well in the state of Utah. There isn't even a whiff of fraud. And so there's just absolutely no basis here for the federal government to be empowered to get rid of mail-in voting in states where it's working.
Well, there's another hurdle, and you actually nailed it. I like having you here because you're so smart and you understand these issues. But the Constitution of the United States, and now this is the lawyer talking for a minute, has I used to have it here, article, whatever, that time, place, and manner of elections for our legislators are decided by the states.
Yes.
And the legislature can set different guidelines and whatnot, but ultimately it comes to the states. So the states regulate time, place, and manner of elections for our representatives. The legislature can change some parameters. They can set some rules. They can't change how who's on the ballot. The states decide that. But there's nowhere in there that talks about the president. You know what I mean? The executive branch doesn't have, even by virtue of executive order, the right, and that's how they've lost before. That's why Trump's lost before on this mail-in voting, because the Court of Appeals has said it's not your, you don't have a dog in this fight.
No, that's absolutely right. And yet this, I think, is the most important issue to Donald Trump more than anything else. I mean, he just gave a primetime address just a few days ago, or a few weeks ago, I guess, a week or two ago, where, we have this raging war in Iran, and we have inflation going nuts, and we have gas prices going nuts, and he wanted to talk about the 2020 election and fraud, and we need to get rid of mail-in voting. And this is just not a priority for the American people, as far as I can see.
Well, like you said, we've got our own Senator Mike Lee, who's involved in this as well. We talked to Cami Mondo earlier today about the fact that they're not likely to take it up, the whole Save America Act. And so there's actually sort of two avenues here where the administration is trying to get this mail-in voting thing stricken. One is through the executive order that's now up he's asking the Supreme Court to take a look at it because the Court of Appeals has struck him down. And the second is just to have legislature do it, which would be consistent with the Constitution, and say you just need to change things so we don't have mail-in voting. But you make a good point. And by the way, Trump wins pretty comfortably here in Utah, and we do mail-in voting about as well as any state in the country. So it's a little disingenuous maybe for some people to say mail-in voting doesn't work because it's unfair to a certain party. At least, you would have to say that it's worked out well for Republicans here in Utah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for Mike Lee to say that mail-in voting has to go away every single one of his elections,
right?
Every time he's won,
another example, right?
I mean, these are all solutions in search of a problem, and the problem they're trying to solve isn't solved even by showing voter ID, for instance. The only way voter ID prevents voter fraud is if you can mobilize people to come and vote on behalf of somebody else.
Right.
And you can't do that at scale.
No.
You might be able to do that onesie-twosie here and there.
Right.
But it does not solve a problem, and this problem doesn't exist, and it doesn't need to be solved.
And one of the things we have going for us, and I think that you're thinking a lot about, Jim, is that we do a great job here in Utah. Our lieutenant governor and even her predecessors, because mail-in voting isn't new by any means in Utah. We've been doing it for a while, but it seems to work quite well. I mean, and
Sure.
our fraud, I mean, the audits that have been done on it have been shown that it's really very, very outstanding. It's working quite well.
It absolutely is. And so this is just, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, thankfully, but it's just frustrating to me every time it comes up. So speaking of coming up on Inside Sources, we want to go back to our earlier conversation on wildfires.
But we need to talk for just another
minute
about mail-in voting.
Mail-in voting, I'm sorry.
No, that's great. What I like about you is that you're Johnny on the spot. And so I said, I need you to do a lead out here, and you did the lead out, but you're just a minute
I'm just a minute early. Okay.
A couple minutes early. So.
Sorry about that. I'm new here.
No,
I'm happy to rail on the Trump administration for beating up on mail-in voting all day long.
Well, that wasn't my intent either. So.
Oh, that's okay, too.
No, but that's okay. So I do want to just say a couple more things and about this. Utah has done a very good job. We are, I think, a national model in mail-in voting. Our system has worked really well, and I think that we need to, as a nation, make sure that the mail-in voting, that there's a high degree of integrity in it. And I don't mind us doing audits on it, but doing away with it altogether. And I just think of me personally. I live up in the Ogden Valley. I work in Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So on election day, it's hard to vote in person. It would be very hard because I'm 45 miles away from my voting location. Not that that's the end of the universe, but it's so much easier for me when I get that mail-in ballot to just vote, which I do every single time, although I'm a Democrat, so we don't get to vote in too many primaries. But nonetheless, I'm able to vote, and I appreciate it. It makes my life so much easier because I don't have to take time off. I don't have to drive up there. Not that it's a hassle, but it allows me to work at my schedule and vote more comfortably.
Sure. Well, everything I think we do with voting should make voting easier.
Right.
And the Save America Act is all about making voting more difficult. And the goal is to prevent people from voting, and that shouldn't be the priority of what we're doing here.
Yeah, and so there's a balance that we're trying to create in this country, and I completely understand the perspective from both sides, both the administration and the states, which is easy is great, integrity is great, and when can you strike the appropriate balance between is it too easy and is it so easy to the point that people can cheat? We haven't seen that. Or is it so restrictive that people can't vote? And I think that taking away mail-in voting, just for me personally, would make it very difficult for me to vote. And so I think of it as a benefit that's worked out well. It's something we should keep going. I think our lieutenant governor does a great job. Our various county clerks, by the way, lieutenant governor is Republican, and most of our county clerks are. I think Salt Lake may have a Democrat, but other than that, and by the way, the last time we elected a statewide Democrat in Utah,
was Jan Graham, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's been a bit. It's been a bit. So, because Trump was sort of railing on Utah at the midterm, the primaries, of saying, Utah, what are you doing with this mail-in vote? I'm like, dude, you nailed it here in Utah. You've done very well, and he would win tomorrow if we had another election. He's very popular here for good reason. People like his message, but for him to rail on Utah saying mail-in voting's not working is a little bit, I don't know.
Oh, no, it's very disingenuous, and mail-in voting is the scapegoat that Donald Trump has used in order to be able to cry election fraud, despite the fact that there have been 60 court cases where they tried to prove some kind of fraud in 2020. None of them were successful. There just isn't a whiff of fraud in the way that Donald Trump has been describing.
Yeah, no. It hasn't been bad. And I hope that the Supreme Court doesn't take it up. If they do and they side with the Court of Appeals, maybe we have the issue decided once and for all, and we don't have to go down that road again. And maybe the Save America Act will change things at some point. Right now, vote by mail seems to be working. States have it dialed in. Utah's a perfect example of that, and I hope we keep it that way because for me it works. And I'm with you. Making it easier to vote is great. And by the way, I also think this. Who's to say there seems to be this notion that Democrats vote when it's easy and Republicans vote when it's not. I don't know that that's true. So I think if they say we're going to make it much more difficult to vote, the Republican numbers will be up. I just don't see that. I think people vote based on what they're able to do.
Yeah, and so be careful what you wish for.
Right. Yeah. Same with that. Saying about Brian Kohlberger. Right.
Right.
Be careful what you ask for.
Okay. All right. Well, so coming up on Inside Sources, we're going to go back to that earlier conversation on wildfires. There was a scary one that popped up yesterday afternoon that led to whole neighborhoods evacuated in Weber County. Let's talk with someone on the scene there coming up next.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a 24-year-old has been arrested after police say she lit a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints building on fire the day before her wedding. KSL News Radio's Reagan Edelman has the details.
Police say Lenita Moreno and her family had been setting up for her wedding inside the building earlier this month when a fire alarm went off. The family told police it started in the Relief Society room and they extinguished the flames, but police say it cost over $100,000 so far to repair the building. They say Moreno is a suspect because just hours before the flames started, surveillance at an Ace Hardware store showed her stealing multiple cigarette lighters. She was arrested yesterday and is now under investigation for aggravated arson, lying to officers, and retail theft.
Police say Moreno lied multiple times throughout the investigation. They also say she admitted to stealing from the Ace Hardware store, but would not tell them what she stole. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, a bipartisan group of senators announced an agreement to move forward on a highly anticipated Russia and Iran sanctions bill, named in honor of late Senator Lindsey Graham.
The Senate is expected to move forward with a procedural vote on the bill tonight following Graham's funeral service. The package would impose primary and secondary sanctions on Russia and other countries that support Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The sanctions target Russian political officials and oligarchs, banks and financial institutions, and the Russian shadow fleet, according to lawmakers. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to be on Capitol Hill for the vote. Peter Haralamus, ABC News.
Your money at this moment right now, the Dow is up 641 points. That's 1.25%. We're at 52,851. Coming up hot and smoky. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Some of you had heard me say that I lost some weight this year, and it's true. In April this year, I decided I needed to lose some weight, and I contacted SOTA at the suggestion of some of the folks here at KSL News Radio and said, look, I'm not sure that I want to get on medication or shots. Not that they're necessarily bad, but I want to see what I can do on my own with diet. And they said, okay, give SOTA a call. 866-800-SOTA. And they said, look, they lined me up with a nutritionist, and she gave me a diet plan. And by the way, the diet didn't involve buying all my product through them. Everything I bought was at my local grocery store. It changed my diet. It changed what I did. They told me I could lose from 3 to 5 pounds a week. I lost 4 pounds a week for 7 weeks. That's right. I lost 30 pounds in 7 weeks, and I've been able to keep it off. It's been now coming up on 4 months. SOTA has worked for me, and it'll work for you. Call 866-800-SOTA. Mention KSL News Radio. And remember, SOTA is, say it with me, state of the art.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness.
The ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
A place where survival,
it's dark now, I have nothing,
is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts.
We're back in America's 250th birthday, highlighting some businesses, and we're talking with some Utah cornerstones. We have J&J Garden Center with us, and Andy Stevenson, General Manager of J&J Garden Center. Andy, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, you bet.
So I will do a little better job this time because I'm just a fan of J&J, so I had to give it my own personal plug. But tell our listeners a little bit about J&J, how it got to be where it is right now, because it's kind of a Utah landmark right now.
It is. You know what? It started out there in West Layton. We were a farming community, and we were, growing everything from onions to beets to green beans for Del Monte to just produce crops. And then what we would do is we just had a little produce stand that was up on the side of the road, and then it just kind of evolved from there. And then as time got in, they started dabbling in a few of the trees, and then as that went on, my father went off to Utah State and did a quick greenhouse course, and then the greenhouse evolved, and then the retail and the whole thing until we're here where we are today. So.
And where you are today is a general garden center. I mean, people can find pretty much anything they want there if they want to make their yard look better.
Yeah, we have, like I said, everything from the trees and the shrubs into the greenhouse to all the annuals, the vegetables. We have koi ponds to help get that area. We have a big home decor section for kind of outdoorsy type things. We just, all the chemicals and the tools and everything you want. We try to be like, I always say, A to Z.
I noticed that because I actually bought some yard art there, some stuff that I could put in my yard to make my trellis look pretty, so my climbing vines will look better. And by the way, I also got the vine from you too, and it's flourishing. My deer haven't destroyed it yet, so your salesman was really good. Listen, I keep yakking instead of asking you questions. Can you stick around?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
Eastbound I-80, we had some delays showing up near the Mountain Dell Golf Course area, but that's cleared up already. Otherwise, though, you are looking at some regular delays. Eastbound 2100 north in Lehigh, pretty heavy from 2300 west over to I-15, and then some light construction congestion on southbound Mountain View corridor coming through Bluffdale near Academy Parkway. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
The high today in Salt Lake City should hit 99 degrees. There'll be some smoke in the air, and there's a 20% chance of thunderstorms, nearly identical tomorrow. Right now, it's cloudy and 88 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Utah Fire Watch.
Well, we had kind of a spooky situation that broke out in Washington Terrace up in Weber County. Actually, some people up there, Jim, were evacuated from their homes as a really quick-moving brush fire moved dangerously close. Those residents had good reason to worry yesterday. Remember, several homes were damaged and destroyed in Roy just a few weeks ago because of a similar brush fire.
Well, I grew up in Southern California where brush fires were a way of life. And when I came to Utah, I thought, oh, geez, good. I'm moving away from that. And it's really kind of terrifying to see that this is something that is happening here. Close to home, too.
Yeah, and we actually got some really interesting video, beautiful video, incredible video. It's sad that it's true, but Becky Bruce was on scene, and God, if you get a chance, listeners, go to KSL News Radio social media account, and you'll see some of her footage, which is really very telling.
Yeah, I understand that things are controlled this morning, but if you look at that footage, the black char left from the fire, it's all over the place.
Yeah, so let's get an update from KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson. She lives in Weber County, was watching it closely. Britt, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Jim.
Hello.
So did you recover from your parade excitement on Saturday?
Yes, but this was a different kind of excitement. My family was actually one of the people that were evacuated. We were about 7 houses away from a lot of the viral videos that have gone around with the flames up against people's backyards.
Yeah, so tell us about it. What were you able to see, and what do you know about the fire, the source, and where it was located?
I mean, I think people are assuming that it's the train. I think it's still under investigation, but that's what makes the most sense. We have a big dry grassy hillside and the train is at the bottom with some train tracks, so that's what people are assuming. And yeah, I was actually in studio yesterday and I was getting text messages from my neighbors saying my kids have spotted a fire in the field, we've called 911, we are going. So we had neighbors who spotted this, alerted the street, all the people on the street, and started going house to house, turning on sprinklers, turning on hoses. A lot of people weren't home because it was 11:30 on a Monday. People were at work, people were running errands. So we have some heroes in our neighborhood who were just jumping into action immediately.
So are you and your family are okay? Is your neighborhood okay?
We're okay. I mean, we're recovering. We can still see some hot spots, some areas that are smoking. We were out in the backyard of my neighbor earlier today, and he was showing us the damage. It was all black up right onto his property line. So our homes are really, really blessed. It didn't encroach too much and damage. Or one home has been damaged and a trailer has been damaged, and we do have a neighbor severely injured that was in his backyard. So a majority of neighbors are good, but that was a tough situation.
Oh, that really is. So let me ask you this, Britt, because last week we had a train in the Roy area that had its brakes got hot and were burning, and there was like a 1.5 mile stretch along the railroad lines there that were clearly, at least seemingly, started by the train. You mentioned that there's some notion that this one may have been started by a train also?
That's what the assumption is. I think it's still under investigation, like I said. But that area is not widely traveled by people. It's remote. So that it wouldn't make much sense that there would be any activity of people camping or starting a fire, but the train does run through there. And so that makes the most sense.
Yeah. Well, so how many people were forced to evacuate? And if you talk to any of them, what's been their sort of personal reaction to this?
I think a lot of people are still really shaken up. Everyone's is allowed to be back in their homes.
They've been allowed to return.
Yes. So we got to go back home last evening.
Did you say someone was injured? Seriously?
We're waiting for official confirmation, but yes, very seriously.
So have you ever had to evacuate your home before? Is this a first time for you?
This is the first time, and it was pretty scary because, like I said, I was in the newsroom yesterday when I was getting notice of all this happening, and I had kids at home. My husband hurried home from work. He works closer than I do, and the road was shut down. The police wouldn't let him in, and he said, "My kids are down there. Can you please just let me get my kids?" He had to hop out of his car, run down, grab my kids, and get them back out.
Britt, for our listeners who may not be familiar with it, where exactly is Washington Terrace in Weber County?
It's at the south end of Ogden, and this fire overlooked. You could see the South Weber area, you could see Riverdale, and so it's the south end of Ogden, and then areas even Hill Air Force Base could see the fire. That ridge looks over and you can see Hill Air Force Base.
And there's a railroad track that runs north and south through the Washington Terrace area, sort of on the west side there.
Yeah, there's a big hillside, and that's what caught fire. And at the base of that hillside, down kind of as you're heading down towards the river,
right,
that's where the train track is.
Well, you say you can still see some hot spots. What are things looking like today overall? It's contained, and we don't have to worry at this point?
As far as we know, yes. The hillside's charred, and you can see smoke coming from little hot spots, but there are crews down there still managing those areas.
So what we'll let you go in just a minute here, Britt, but since we've got you, we're going to ask you one or two more questions. What did they do? Did they have fire crews there? And do you know how they ended up putting it out, what they ended up doing?
Yeah, so fire crews, they came right away. Like I said, we had neighbors that jumped into action really quickly, but they also were calling fire department very quickly, and they responded. And as far from when I've talked to my neighbors, like I said, I wasn't right there where it was happening. They said they were really impressed by how quickly, we had helicopters putting things out. We had fire crews coming from different angles, because there's, it was spreading across the hillside in different directions, north, south, and then also up and down. So we had kind of fire crews surrounding, and helicopters, and they were able to get it contained, really, really effectively.
Well, when you say neighbors jumped into action, what kind of things were they doing to protect their homes?
Well, it was actually some neighborhood kids who spotted the fire on the hillside. They ran and told their mom and dad. The mom and dad, they called the cops, or they called the fire department. And then they started just running around to neighbors' houses, turning on their sprinkler systems, turning on their hoses. One of them actually grabbed a tractor and started mowing down a bunch of the grass that was closest to homes, to try to create some kind of fire break where, all that dry grass wouldn't just catch so close to homes. And so, yeah, you'll see a lot of the video that is floating around where people are hosing things off. They're working together. They were knocking on doors. They were trying to make sure people were getting out and that they were aware. So we had a lot of people just really jump to action really quickly. They thought really quickly. And I'm proud of my little neighborhood.
I guess you should be. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Britt. Thanks for joining us this morning. That was KSL news reporter Britt Johnson, who's also a Weber County resident. What we know about that one, Jim, and it's disturbing that someone was hurt, apparently seriously. We don't know much more about that. That's awful. But it burned apparently 45 acres, forced some home evacuations in the area. This is Washington Terrace, the southwest quadrant, I think, of part of Ogden City as you into Weber County.
This
there.
is kind of your stomping ground.
Yeah. We live just over the hill in Eden, but yeah, I know Washington Terrace, beautiful city, beautiful part of the Weber County area.
Well, I'm so glad that the neighborhood was able to sort of spring into action like that, and I'm glad that the injuries were kept to a minimum.
Right.
But when we come back on Inside Sources, let's talk about gambling and the addictions that come from it. Roughly 56 million Americans say that they hide their gambling losses, and it's having a damaging effect on our society. So we'll have more on that after the break.
1 in 4 children in Davis County is at risk of going hungry.
Over the weekend, many kids who depend on school meals during the week lose access to regular meals.
Let's make a difference. Let's fight childhood hunger, one pantry pack at a time.
Join Young Caring for Our Young and the Young Automotive Group along with the Bountiful Food Pantry, August 8th at Bountiful City Park from 8 a.m. to noon to donate and assemble pantry packs for our children who face hunger over the weekends.
Learn about the deep impact of food insecurity and discover ways to help all year with this hands-on volunteer experience perfect for families, groups, or individuals.
Feel the warmth of giving oatmeal packets, granola bars, fruit snacks, fruit pouches, individual cracker packets, or even cash donations that directly go towards purchasing food for pantry packs.
Let's fight childhood hunger together. Saturday, August 8th at Bountiful City Park, 8 a.m. to noon.
Learn more at bountifulfoodpantry.org.
All right, we're back with Andy Stevenson, General Manager of J&J Garden Center. We're talking about Utah's cornerstones. Today we're highlighting J&J Garden Center, a local business, been supporting our community for generations. And Andy, I didn't realize this, but you're actually part of the J&J family.
Yeah, so my grandpa, he went by Jack, so he's one of the J's.
Oh, there you go.
Then I have another uncle, and he's the other J. And then, but yeah, I'm a grandson.
So were you raised in the area? I mean, did you raised working at the
I did.
center?
So I've been there my whole life working. I kind of focus in the greenhouse area and the perennial department, but other areas as well. But yeah, so I've been there. I tease everybody that I was born there.
Is it still kind of a family? I mean, I noticed you brought your daughter with you today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's got a J&J Garden Center shirt on.
Does.
So you both do. Does that mean she works there too?
She does. She helps me out.
What does she do?
She does everything from, she works in the greenhouse when we're busy, but then she also helps out with our marketing and advertising, and she went to school for that up at Weber State. So
I was going to ask you about that because it seems like you people are really knowledgeable. When I say I need something that will live in Eden and will survive our winter and that I can still maybe get some fruit off, they go.
A lot of our employees have either gone to college and gone through a type of a horticulture program in one degree or the other, Or we have a lot of, moms or something that's gone through the Master Gardeners through Utah State University. And so we try to keep people there that are educated and know what to plant when and where.
You certainly do a good job of it. What's this summer been like for you with the drought and the heat? Has it been difficult?
It's been a little difficult, yes, but but there again, there are things that you can do to help combat that, whether it's certain fertilizers for your lawn, how to water stuff properly, when to water, certainly drought-tolerant, trees and shrubs and different things like that. Utah native stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we do. We've been around, and a lot of us have just grown up in it, and we've been there so long that we know what to do.
You certainly do. J&J is really a cornerstone of our community. It's a place that I go to a lot. We've had Andy Stevenson, general manager of J&J Garden, and his daughter. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
We wouldn't be celebrating America 250 if it wasn't for a strong foundation set by the framers. Hamilton built America's financial foundation on sound money, later embodied by the gold standard. But we abandoned that discipline in 1971 and have seen inflation erode the dollar's value. What's the foundation of your savings? Is it gold or something that can be devalued? Hi, it's Dr. Ron Paul, and I encourage you to speak with my friends at Birch Gold Group about diversifying an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Learn more by requesting a free info kit on gold IRAs. Just text the word SECURE to the number 989898. Let Birch Gold help you build your foundation with gold. Text the word SECURE to the number 989898. Text SECURE to 989898.
There's nothing like getting outside, moving, and enjoying time with friends. Utah offers endless ways to get outdoors and stay active. Pickleball, hiking, biking, and more. Staying healthy is fun if you do it safely. Intermountain Health recommends taking time to stretch, warm up, stay hydrated, and pace yourself. These small steps keep activities safe and enjoyable for everyone. Because when you make health and safety part of every activity, you're taking care of what matters most. Your life, your health.
Inside Sources.
So it may seem a little bit unusual talking about gambling in a state like Utah because we do not allow virtually any form of gambling, but that doesn't mean people don't find ways around it.
Oh, no. Technology makes it very easy for you to be able to gamble wherever you'd like, and that means that the negative effects of gambling can be applied to anybody no matter where they lived. It can have a real impact on a person, on the community. There was an interesting opinion piece in the Deseret News that looked at these effects and how it's affecting young people particularly.
Yeah, and so we have Jay Evenson, Deseret News opinion editor, in studio with us again today. Jay, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. We do have problems with prediction markets, and prediction markets are legal in Utah because they are governed by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which doesn't make any sense to me because I don't see gambling as a commodity in any way. But until that changes, you can legally bet on prediction markets. But that aside, I wrote about this new study by a group called VIP Grinders. They're actually connected to the gaming industry, so it was kind of interesting to see them come out with this. The big takeaway for me is that 56 million Americans are hiding their gambling losses from a loved one or close person that they live with. To me, that's the very definition of a problem gambler. If you have to hide your losses from people.
56 million?
56 million.
That's just a huge chunk of the population in a country of 300 million.
It is. Today, NBC News was reporting on a study by a company called Epic Research, and they found a 60% increase in problem gambling diagnoses in states that had legalized sports gambling. And experts are saying that that's actually an undercount because most people who have problem gambling or are problems with gambling do not make this known, do not seek help, or if they do, they go to groups that help with that kind of thing, but that doesn't get recorded in the health industry. So the problem, I think, is much more vast than what we even know or what the studies are showing us.
And doesn't it seem, Jay, as though with technology and online services that are available, that it's just a lot easier to gamble today than it was 20, 30 years ago?
Absolutely. And the number one age demographic that is bothered most by this is the 18 to 25-year-old males. And if you go into any university or college in this country, you'll see young men who are on their phones much of the day placing bets, and it's a huge problem. There have been other studies that have shown just how many, and I don't have those figures in my head, but a huge percentage of the young men are gambling or say that they have gambled within the last week. And of course, the not very well kept secret is that you're going to lose.
Right.
You're going to be chasing your losses. And this study I referred to by VIP Grinders found a large percentage of people using credit cards to gamble or selling a possession or two in order to cover their losses. And or borrowing money in some other way. And you can imagine, 18 to 25, that's the demographic where you ought to be finishing up college, choosing a career, getting married, starting a family, getting serious about life. And if you have this gambling albatross hanging over you, it's going to inhibit you from doing those things. Or if you're already married, it's probably going to break up your home or your marriage because you're not being responsible with your funds.
Well, so many people don't understand the mathematical inevitability of losing at gambling. My father used to work for Howard Hughes, who owned a bunch of properties in Vegas. And he walked me through a casino when I was very young and explained, look, you're not going to see a single clock up here. It looks exactly the same at 3 o'clock in the morning as it does at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because they want you to lose track of time. Yeah. Because the longer you stay there, it's like flipping a coin over and over and over again. Eventually, the math just grinds you down, and the house is going to win if they can keep you there long enough.
I started my career as a reporter in Las Vegas at the Review-Journal, and we used to say, you look around at those big casinos and buildings, and they were not built on the backs of winners.
Right. Right.
They were built on the backs of losers.
Where do you think we're going with these prediction markets? Do you think that because of the Commodities Futures Exchange is apparently regulating them, that they're going to survive? Because it seems like every state is taking some effort to say, come on, guys, this is gambling. Our own Attorney General joined with a group saying, how is this not gambling? And I look at Utah law, the definition of gambling, and think, looks like it's gambling to me. If I'm a prosecutor, which I was at one point, and I'm looking at what they're doing, it seems like it, but I guess they're going to continue to be regulated, or what do we know?
This is one of the few issues that could make Utah and Nevada allies, and both states are opposed to the prediction markets. Nevada wants to control its own gambling.
Sure.
They've got a whole bureaucracy set up there to control it. It's been around for decades. And they're saying, we don't want this outside group coming in, and we can't touch them, and we can't regulate them. The big problem with prediction markets right now is that President Trump and his family have a huge stake in those markets and are very much in support of them. So Republicans are very reluctant to do anything about them, even though their states are upset and trying to get them to do something. It'll be interesting to see in the next couple of years what changes, or if we get beyond the Trump administration in a couple of years, if things change in that regard.
So do you think that there's sort of a partisan political motivation here to not regulate these prediction markets in the way that they ought to be regulated?
It seems that is so. I hear from Democrats in Congress who are interested in regulating them, and who are also very concerned about sports betting. We seem to have a growing problem with people fixing games in our nation, particularly NCAA basketball, but also the NBA. This is a problem that if it gets out of hand could have widespread ramifications. We're prepared here to spend billions of dollars shoring up the Delta Center, possibly building an MLB stadium, what happens if people lose total confidence in the outcome of those games? Then we're wasting a lot of taxpayer money.
Did some of the studies, I guess this VIP grinders and what you looked at, say that the more availability of online gambling, the whole sports gambling being, I mean, you can't avoid it on TV, has created a bigger problem?
Researchers are always very careful, and they say, well, there's no absolute connection between the legalization of sports gambling and these problems, but they're also drawing some pretty interesting circumstantial evidence. When you have a 60% increase in reports of problem gambling in states that have legalized sports betting, and you have 11 states in the country that have been holding out and not legalizing, including some big players like Texas and California, and of course Utah, and you don't have near the problems in those states that you do in the others.
Well, what's the solution? What would you like to see happen?
I think personally that the Supreme Court's little experiment of allowing states to legalize sports gambling has been a huge failure.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a reckoning. At the very least, someone in Washington should be studying what the effects of gambling is. To me, it's kind of like cigarette smoking. We had the Surgeon General's report in 1964 that changed a lot. If we could have a Surgeon General type report today that tells us really what's happening to our society through gambling, we might be able to start a wave that would reverse the legalization of gambling, which is what I think ought to happen.
Yeah, I've seen it in my own practice, Jay, and you're right. I love the article because gambling is a problem. It's insidious. People hide it. People are always thinking, boy, I'm down $10,000. I just need to get that. I got to get one more bet in to try to make it up, and then you're down $20,000,
Yeah.
and then you're down, and you got to pay too. That's another problem is people get upside down with their people that they owe money to, and pretty soon it's an insidious problem that, and it's you've got debt, and you've got people that are going to collect on that debt.
Right, and it's not producing anything of value
At all.
for society. It's just taking money.
It's a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
It really is.
All right. Well, speaking of predictions, we're just under 100 days until the midterm elections. We're going to have a conversation and read the tea leaves, so to speak, on whether Republicans will be able to keep the House and Senate. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top story this hour, Utah is receiving accolades for the fourth year in a row. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
The best state in the U.S., that's what a new ranking from U.S. News and World Report is calling the Beehive State. This is actually its fourth year in a row in the top spot. That's because it got ranked in the top 10 in 5 of the 8 categories. Some of the highest rankings include number 2 in economy, number 2 in fiscal stability, and number 4 in infrastructure. The state takes the top spot when it comes to growth in the younger population, with somewhat evenly dispersed wealth and low smoking rates. Governor Spencer Cox commented on the ranking, saying Utah's success comes from its people who serve, build, innovate, and invest in the future. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Apple is taking a page out of the car dealership playbook with its new leasing strategy. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more.
Apple Upgrade is a new program that lets customers lease certain devices for up to 3 years. The company says it will cover iPhones, iPads, Macs, and Apple Watches. Apple is partnering with Klarna on the program, saying lease deals on iPhones will start at $17.99 a month. It comes after Apple announced significant price increases on many of its products, citing an ongoing shortage in computer memory, driven by increased demand from the AI industry. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
This week, Apple overtook NVIDIA to once again become the most valuable company in the world. Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got green across the board. The Dow Jones is up 684 points, that's 1.3%. The S&P 500 is up 38 points, that's 0.5%. And the NASDAQ is up 44 points, that is nearly 0.2%. Coming up, we're headed back to the hundreds. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Right now, JCW's has 15 bus and billboards depicting our delicious, mouthwatering hamburgers across I-15. We've also just learned that I-15 averages 15 fender benders a day. Probably a coincidence, but just in case, keep your eyes on the road. Here's what our burgers sound like. Now with your hands at 10 and 2, safely turn into one of our 5 locations in American Fork, Lehigh, Provo, South Jordan, and Harriman. JCW's. Quality and a lot of it.
I'm really interested to hear about how your parents talk to you at home, and how do you think they can kind of break through to you?
It's just to talk about it. It's just seriously just, it's going to be awkward at first, but if you keep repeating it over and over again, it's just going to feel natural.
Keep going, and soon we'll just be able to talk about it.
Talking about mental health with your teens is the power of we in action. Visit intermountainhealth.org/teen mental health.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry is the jewelry we never wear. It sits tucked away in a drawer. A ring from a grandmother, a pendant from years gone by, pieces filled with stories, but not part of your everyday life. Duke's Jewelers believes those pieces deserve more. For over 75 years, Duke's Jewelers has helped families reimagine heirloom jewelry, transforming what once was into something you'll love wearing today and pass down tomorrow. Whether it's resetting a stone, redesigning a ring, or creating something entirely new, Duke's Jewelers will guide you through every step, right there in the store. And if you have jewelry that no longer fits your story, Duke's Jewelers also buys gold, offering a simple, transparent way to turn it into something meaningful again. Bring in what you have and create something you'll never want to take off. Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville, where your story continues.
4 weeks may sound like a long time, but it really is not. Not when it comes to the amount of change you can have through Soda Diet and Nutrition in just 4 weeks.
4 weeks. And Soda is doing something amazing. I don't think they've ever done this before, Andy.
I can't think of it.
They're giving away 4 weeks for free. So just think about this. By, around the end of summer, you could have drastic change. You'll feel better in your clothes. You'll have more energy. You'll be sleeping better, all because of Soda.
Healthier, more confident, free from chasing an expensive fix because it doesn't involve any drugs. It doesn't involve anything crazy. It's just relearning how to eat and working step by step with a degreed nutritionist who guides you the entire way.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months. You lost how much?
70 pounds in 5 months.
Get 4 weeks for free. Just call 866-800-SODA and mention KSL.
Or go to SOTA, S-O-T-A, dietandnutrition.com because Soda is, say it with me, Amanda,
state of the art.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
Well, we do have this disabled vehicle still on southbound I-15 near 7200 South. Looks like there are a couple emergency vehicles there helping them out on the right shoulder. Out of traffic, so no delays behind them. Where it is slow, eastbound 2100 North in Lehigh, just the regular scattered delays. That's actually starting near 3600 West, reaching all the way over to I-15. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures are going to teeter on the high 90s until Thursday when we break into the hundreds. And it's going to keep rising until Saturday when we hit a searing 105. Right now, though, it's 88 degrees and mostly cloudy downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, us political geeks, and I'm glad I have Jim Bennett with me today. We're less than 100 days from midterms. In fact, yesterday we were talking about 99 days, which means today must be 98 days. We're going to see if Democrats can take over at least one of the houses to get a majority in the House of Representatives. Jim, Democrats need to net pick up 3 seats, and to win a majority in the Senate, they need to net pick up 4 seats. Can they do it? Let's talk about the House first.
Well, the House seems very, very likely that it's going to go to the Democrats. You look at the generic ballot where they say, will you vote for a Democrat or a Republican? And the Democrats have a larger lead in that than they've had in many, many election cycles. But that said, the goal of so many state legislatures is to gerrymander the congressional districts to the point where very few congressional districts in this country are competitive.
Yeah, apparently maybe like 20.
Yeah.
So you got to pick up. It's not like picking up 3 out of.
Yeah, I mean, the entire House is up for re-election, but really
Right.
very, very few of those are competitive races.
Well, we did some things here in Utah, so that it seems like we probably will pick up one from this state, which is a miracle. I mean, you don't expect that. And here's a problem I see before we get to the Senate that both sides are doing, and that is that the Democrats are putting up candidates that they are sort of defining themselves as these democratic socialists.
Yeah.
It's a very popular group now that the Democrats are putting up instead of the more moderate. And the Republicans have got Trump coming in, and he's handpicking his candidate, which is, again, less moderate. So the voters, as you know, because you and I both run for election, you got the Democrats, you got Republicans, but in these competitive districts, it comes down to the moderate or the independents. And neither party is doing much to pick up those votes. It doesn't seem. And I'm just wondering how much we're all shooting ourselves in the foot.
No, I think that's very true. I mean, you talk to people, and there's just this huge political chasm, and most of America's electorate is right there in the middle, and they don't have a political home in either party. And so when you look at how dismal President Trump's numbers are, you look at how dismal the Republican Party's numbers are, you sometimes forget that the Democratic Party has an equally terrible reputation with a lot of voters. There are a lot of people that are just turned off by, Mamdani does great as the mayor of New York City, but how does he play across the country? And candidates that have similar sorts of positions like that, there are a lot of people that look at that, and they may really be disgusted with President Trump and disgusted with the Republicans, but not see the Democrats as a viable alternative.
Yeah, so we do know from history that, and I'm joined this morning by Jim Bennett, my co-host, filling in for Holly Richardson, who's got some political experience, significant political experience. But we do know that midterm elections generally favor the party that's not in the presidency.
Yes.
And this year should be no exception to that, especially with Trump's numbers being pretty bad.
Yes, I don't really see that the Republicans have a prayer in the House, and I think they sort of recognize that. And so they're scrambling to hold on to the Senate, and I think they have an opportunity to be able to hold on to the Senate. In fact, it wasn't until recently that the Senate was considered up for grabs because the Democrats, 4 seats in the Senate, when you're talking about statewide races, not congressional districts, that's a pretty heavy lift. Now, it's at the same time, again, you're looking at President Trump's numbers. His numbers are worse than any president at this point in their second term in our lifetimes. I mean, that includes Richard Nixon, for heaven's sakes. I mean, his numbers are absolutely dismal, and voters are looking for ways to be able to express that. But are there enough of them to flip 4 Senate seats? I wouldn't want to lay money on that, but I'm not a gambling guy. Jay Evenson has talked me out of that.
Yeah, and then the Democrats, again, shooting themselves in the foot. They have a very progressive, flamboyant, good-looking candidate in Maine, and it turns out, he's left in disgrace.
Yeah.
They're scrambling to get somebody to fill in. That was a race that was winnable.
Very winnable.
By the Democrats. If they've got, like, let's say there's 5 or 6 that are up, close calls, well, you just may have lost one. And they've scrambled. They put somebody in that place, but it's awfully late. And she is obviously wasn't. The voters know she wasn't the first choice.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you've got some bright spots. I mean, I think you're looking in Texas, the idea that James Tallarico has the opportunity even that he's even competitive. But I think he's probably going to pull that one out.
And that's another example of the Republicans making an error, because this current senator there was probably a shoo-in, but Trump favored the current attorney general.
Right.
And I'm scrambling with names right now, who's got all kinds of baggage.
Yeah.
And probably not going to do.
Is that Ken Paxton?
Yeah, exactly. So again, he's a Trumper, but maybe not going to be compelling to the Texas audience. I don't know that they're going to pick up 4 in the Senate.
I don't know either. The thing that the Republicans keep saying is that if Congress flips to the Democrats, we're going to get all of these investigations of Donald Trump, and we're going to spend all of this time, and he might even get impeached again. And I keep thinking, don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, right.
But if the House flips and the Senate does not, then yeah, the House can impeach Donald Trump all they want, but everything, any kind of investigation of the Trump administration, everything that originates in the House is going to die in the Senate. It probably will still be that way, even if Democrats do manage to take the Senate, because as we see with the Save America Act, for instance, you need 60 votes to really be able to do anything. And if you want to impeach the President of the United States and convict him, you need 67 votes. And we're just never going to get there.
Right. So what is your prediction?
My prediction is that the Republicans take the House. I think
the Democrats take the House.
The Democrats take the House, and I think they will probably take the Senate. I think the statement, everything Trump touches dies, I think is actually very true. I think he's absolutely toxic at this point. And I think people are looking for any opportunity to express their disfavor for the Trump administration.
Yeah, I mean, the war in Iran isn't helping. Gas prices isn't helping.
Yeah, and none of those seem to be
not
changing.
Helping, and
Yeah.
those don't seem to be changing. And
what's your prediction?
I guess I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to say optimistic about and I know your background is as Republican and independent, but I'm worried about the Senate. So I'm going to say we take the House, and on a good day we're at or about a tie level at the Senate, which doesn't do us any good.
All right. Well, okay, so we've talked a lot about elections. We've talked a lot about wildfires today. When we come back, we're going to talk about an interesting survey that says more and more people are thinking about wildfires when looking to buy a home. So more on that when we return.
What if you had the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Guaranteed. Well, thanks to Xfinity, you don't have to worry about that part of your future now through August 24th. Get their best price on gig Wi-Fi this summer before it disappears. Just $50 a month for 5 years. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected from online threats and finds and fixes issues before you even notice them. No annual contracts or commitments, no hidden fees, and the best equipment included. Plus, get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at Xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org. Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Walt Phillips right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Walt is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Walt's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
If there's one thing you can count on, it's 24/7 protection when you bundle home and auto insurance with Progressive. And if there's two things you can count on, it's your smoke detector battery dying at 3 a.m. Not 3 p.m. on a Saturday when you have nothing going on, but in the middle of the night when you're fast asleep.
Come on!
Get 24/7 protection when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Just one more thing you can count on. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Your coffee would never get cold. Your flight would always be on time. And your mattress would always respond to you and your unique sleep needs. Sleep Number mattresses are designed to respond to your body and shift with your changing life, helping you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number. To a good life sleep.
All in together now, we can make it better, can we do it? We rope it up. Cause we know how to jump.
Moving and eating better every day can help make you and your kids healthier. Search We Can online to find out more. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency?
Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son, and they're demanding $500,000.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, most people, when they're considering buying a home, will look at the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, the size of the yard, whether it's got a hot tub, a den, double oven.
Well, more and more people are looking at wildfires. You know, we bought our house. It was on the wrong side of the street, and the snow melts slower than it does on the other side of the street. And I've always thought next time we buy a house, we're going to look at that. But it's never occurred to me that wildfires would be something that is the risk of fires damaging my potential home has never sort of figured into my equation. Is this just our new reality here?
It's absolutely a new reality, and it's a finding that a lot of people are looking at things like air quality, which is related to wildfires, where you are with respect to that. And just think about it. If you're next to an open field, which I unfortunately am up in the Ogden Valley, and a wildfire comes up, what are you going to do? I mean, you can create these fire breaks, but what are they, 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet? I don't know. You know what I mean? But a little wind and the embers come over into your yard anyway, and you're done. So, I mean, it's sad that we're dealing with wildfires, but they're a part of our future. Let's face it.
Yeah.
And so if you are considering buying a home right now, you absolutely should take that into account, and it's going to make it so that homes that are in wooded areas may be of lesser value if you're trying to sell one right now.
Well, I live up in Sandy, and I'm right near the Dimple Dell big.
Oh yeah.
I haven't seen any kind of major wildfires there, but there's this one area just right that's set aside as a right-of-way to extend Highland Drive. I don't know that they'll ever do it, but just a couple of years ago, that whole thing just lit up.
Yeah.
And that was right by our house, and it never even had occurred to me that we were at risk for anything like this.
You know, my son lives in Napa, and he knows that it literally is a matter of when, because there's certain segments of that county that burn every year, and it's coming on both sides of him, but someday it's his area, and it's going to be bad. He and I go mountain biking, and every year we go there, and he shows me the latest burn scar. I mean, in California, it's terrible, and in Utah, we've got some areas. We've got a place down in Torrey. We had that huge wildfire last year down in just next door in Coucheram that burned. I forget the name of the fire, but it was a big one that got Wayne County, where my place is. It got smoke, and you can't go there now without thinking about that. And we've got a place there that could, that part of the valley, we're up against Fish Lake National Forest. If that's burned, we'd be in deep trouble.
Well, I mean, fire. I said this earlier, but growing up in Southern California, wildfires were just sort of a fact of life. And when this big, massive fire in Los Angeles hit just this last year, I had a number of friends that I'd grown up with who lost everything. Their houses were burned down, and it was always something. When you went to Southern California, you recognized you're going to a place with wildfires, you're going to a place with earthquakes, and all these things, and you get this sense, or at least I did, and maybe I was silly about this, but you think that Utah's sort of removed from a lot of that, and we're not removed from any of that.
No, not at all.
Earthquakes, too, are something that we have to worry about.
I think we had, just not long ago in Utah, the largest wildfire in the country. The one, I think it was called the Cottonwood Fire, and down in, I forget now, I shouldn't even mention it, but it was the largest Beaver area, yeah. I mean, that scared the people, it scared the leaders down there, the mayor, we had him on, and then guess what happened after the fire? We had rain, and it flooded, and it was a disaster. I mean, the fire followed by the rain for those poor people in Beaver. I'm sure they're still digging out down there.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many environmental challenges now that we just have not prepared for adequately. And in a state that is this dry and has had this little precipitation over the last few years, it's just kind of terrifying. And what can we do to mitigate this?
Yeah, so I'm looking at a study. It says more than a third of Americans in the market for new homes say indoor air quality is a top priority, and finding a clean interior environment is high on the survey. This is a survey by Redfin, and it said security systems top the list, with 38% of home hunters wanting that as their first, second, or third choice, but high-end filtration for air and water followed behind at 36%. So that's another thing you're thinking about if your town's going to be smoke-filled, that you're going to have air problems and you're going to have to bail out.
Well, that's already a problem in the Salt Lake Valley,
Sure
where you have all these inversions, and we've got these mountains that trap all of the pollution here, and if you have fires and smoke, you have that same sort of problem. It's very difficult to clear that out.
Did you see this morning coming into Salt Lake County? I don't know what it was, if there was a fire or something, but it was really bad today.
Was it?
I saw a fire in Weber County yesterday. Was coming home in an area that I couldn't. Maybe it was the one that we just talked about with Britt, the one that was in
Washington Terrace.
Yeah, Washington Terrace. But when I was driving home yesterday afternoon, I saw a fire in Weber County. Yeah, it had to be Washington Terrace. It was bigger than I thought, and I thought, well, it's just a matter of time before it gets up in the Ogden Valley, and then you're up there, and it's the 4th of July or the 24th of July, and no fireworks, and 10 o'clock comes, and people are lighting off fireworks, and you're seeing them in the air, and you're thinking, who is doing this? What are you thinking at that moment when you're lighting off fireworks, and who allows that? And I do criminal defense work. I can't remember the last time I have clients charged with illegal fireworks. I got 2 this year. It's the crime du jour. Illegal fireworks. People call me, go, I didn't know I shouldn't light off fireworks. Like, what are you thinking? It's not like a civil jaywalking. It's a crime. It's a misdemeanor.
Well, it's funny because when we first moved here, the only fireworks that were legal were the ones that you could keep on the ground.
Right.
And then they decided that we just weren't cool enough, and we now have to have fireworks that shoot up everywhere.
Because we were all driving to Wyoming and getting those anyway.
We were all driving to Wyoming and getting them
anyway. You might as well, join it.
But that adds to the danger, does it not?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you can't contain it anymore.
I would love to see the statistics that show how many more wildfires we've had since that law changed.
Yeah. Oh no, it's been significant. And then you've got the whole combination of the outdoor environment, people getting out in their four-wheelers, getting out in the hills, which I absolutely encourage. I mean, I'm guilty of that myself with my mountain biking and whatnot, but you get up there and you can spark something, you can do something else there. It's just, we're a tinderbox. We're a tinderbox right now. People are looking at homes, people are looking at things that we've never thought of before, which is, am I going to be in an area that could burn someday? Or, what else we're thinking about right now, people buying homes, is water. Let's face it.
Sure.
Let's face it. Utah is in a severe drought, and next year it will be a worse severe drought. And so people are thinking, we're all going to be concentrated around the Great Lakes someday. You know what I mean? Or alongside the ocean, assuming the levels don't rise. You know what I mean? Like it's, and I love the desert. I love it here. I want to spend the rest of my life here. But it's spooky when you look at a fire and think, if it was a couple miles this way or a couple miles that way, it'd be my house.
Yeah, no, I mean that's, and I don't know that there's any place in the state that is immune to this or is protected from this.
No, I don't think so either.
I mean, this is something. This is the reality. This is something that I think people looking to relocate in Utah would be looking at now.
Do you remember talking about wildfires 20 years ago?
No.
I mean, it was a rarity. It just didn't happen. And now they're everywhere. I mean, maybe we did have a few. I remember a motorcycle trip we did down by Jackson Hole, and there was a fire. We couldn't go up there. It was maybe 15, 20 years ago. It was significant, but that was like earth-shattering. It was like, this is the biggest fire ever, and blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, that would be nothing. That would be just the fire of the month.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we just have them every year. Anyway, it's sad that home buyers have to take that into account, but you do if you're going to put down 6 figures or more on a house, and you've got to think about where I want to be in 10 years. Do I want to be in a fire zone? Do I want to be in a drought zone? Do I want to be in a dirty air zone? You got to think about it. It's going to affect what home buyers are doing.
No, that's absolutely true. And one of the things that we ought to take into consideration with this as well is the fact that Utah real estate and homes, the market has just skyrocketed, and Utah is no longer affordable to a lot of people.
Right.
And so with that premium that people pay for Utah homes, do you want to put that kind of money down on a house that might burn up?
And these beautiful houses in the foothills, they're, who doesn't want to live in the foothills? Who doesn't want to have scrub oak around them? Who doesn't want to have some natural vegetation? Well, now that's a tinderbox. Anyway, it's sad, but it's true. It's just part of where we are right now. And I hope that people will consider the fact that it's still a beautiful, the best place in the world to live, Utah. And we've got the fire, and people can be careful, and hopefully we can continue to live here comfortably as we have, at least for my entire life. When we come back on Inside Sources, when you sit on a plane, would you sit on a plane for 24 hours? I mean, seriously? I mean, I've sat on one for a few hours, but overnight, Airbus and Qantas Airlines broke a record for the longest nonstop flight, 24 hours and 24 minutes from Europe to Australia. We're going to talk about that when we come back. We want you to text us 57500 and tell us what you think about a 24-hour flight. Would you get on one? 57500. We'll be right back.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top local story this hour. People in the Washington Terrace neighborhood are waking up this morning back home and are very relieved after the Adams fire came too close for comfort. The fire was just feet from some homes. Jaref Stauffer and his family are back home after a day spent in anxiety, worried over their home and property. When the evacuation order came, he said they had moments to act.
You think you know what's going to happen if there's a fire and you're going to grab certain things? Nah, you panic.
Crews say the fire left some minor damage on one home and heavily damaged a trailer. One resident and a sheriff's deputy were injured. The resident was taken to the hospital, and the deputy has since returned to work. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. We're learning more about the July 4th celebration and the incidents surrounding it that may have led to the death of Nolan Wells. Wells was last seen with friends at Horn Island in the Mississippi Gulf Coast. His family is urging authorities for transparency in the investigation, and according to an independent preliminary autopsy report, Wells' cause of death was inconclusive. More from ABC's Aaron Katersky with new 911 calls.
The Mississippi Department of Marine Resources reported his friends saying Wells was in the company of an unknown female and that he chose to remain at the island. As searchers began scanning the island and surrounding waters, this email obtained by ABC News shows the preliminary information they were given, describing Wells as a black male, 6'1", 180 pounds, wearing shorts only. The Marine Patrol listed his alcohol intake as heavy. The state's autopsy, including the results of toxicology tests, is pending.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow Jones is up 600 points, that's 1.1%. The S&P 500 is up 22 points, that's 0.3%. And the NASDAQ is now down 1.84 points, that is just a fraction of a percent. Coming up, it's going to be a hot one again. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time is 11:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Summertime and the saving is easy at Dave's Bernina in Provo and St. George. Ladies, Dave's Bernina makes it easy for you to own a new Bernina quilting machine.
Big savings on embroidery and sewing machines. Come in and find out about the new products to be released in the upcoming weeks. Special pre-order pricing on the all-new Bernina 790 Ultra, 580 and 495 Liberty editions, and the Bernina 660 and 620 Surgers.
Come in now.
24 to 48 months, 0% interest on specific machine purchases. The Bernina 990, 770 Pro, and 570 are on sale, featuring free accessory bundles worth from $2,900 up to $4,600.
Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North, 550 West in Provo.
So have some creative fun this summer.
Dave'sBernina.com.
Great deals on trade-in machines while they last.
Joe Fallon did something smart. He saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With that money, he commissioned a portrait of himself. Does Joe already know what he looks like? Yes. Do guests know what he looks like? Also yes. But not as art. It's Joe's savings, and if he wants to spend it on a velvet painting of himself with a white tiger at his feet, we say, roar, Joe, roar. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. But at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited everything for just $35 a line. That's $35 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. Switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage and customer satisfaction and get unlimited everything for just $35 a month. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit Consumer Cellular online or in-store today. Price includes $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes and fees apply. Data speeds reduced after 35 gigabytes. Rankings done by 2025 ACSI survey.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. And I was thinking the other day, Monty, that every water softener I've ever seen has a giant tank that holds bags and bags of water softener salt. Well, except one, the one I have in my home. And I picture this, my Connecticut has the little salt tank about the size of a paper shredder or a small trash can.
Well, Doug, that's because the Connecticut water softeners use so much less salt, an average of 70% less than other water softeners. So you don't need a tank that holds 6 or 8 bags of salt.
I love the fact that it's so easy to fill because I don't have to lift those bags up so high, and it seems like those bags of salt, well, they're getting heavier every year.
Yes, it does. When you're using 1 bag of salt for every 3 a regular water softener uses, there's no need for a large salt tank.
Tired of lifting those heavy salt bags to fill your giant water softener salt tank? Go to softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Learn how to save more this summer at UCCU.com. Here's Cormac Bone.
We don't have delays on any of our major freeways all across the Wasatch Front. I-15 moving smooth between Ogden and Provo. It is slow in the usual places, though. Eastbound 2100 North in Lehigh. Scattered delays from Redwood Road all the way over to I-15. And the 201 freeway in Magna. Normal light congestion both directions from 8400 West over to 7200 West. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's going to be partly cloudy with a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. It'll still be warm with highs in the 90s. Right now, though, it's 90 degrees and partly cloudy downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So we want to hear from you, our listeners. If you had to fly 24 hours, would you rather split it up in 2 flights, have a layover, or just get it over with? We want to hear from you at 57500. If you had to travel to the other side of the country, say from Europe to Australia, would you rather take a single flight or split it up?
Well, you can already fly direct to Australia from some U.S. airports, and those flights can be up to 20 hours. When I was at the Tab Choir, they chartered a plane, flew direct from Utah to the Philippines, and I think that was about 17 hours, if I'm remembering correctly. But a 24-hour flight, a single flight lasting a day or maybe a little more, that's just boggles my mind.
Well, plane maker Airbus and Qantas Airways broke the world record as part of what they're calling Project Sunrise. They flew from southern France to Melbourne, Australia in 24 hours and 24 minutes. So, Andy, we have our producer, Andy Cupp, in studio. You flew a little bit yesterday. Would you fly 24 hours?
Absolutely not.
You wouldn't?
I would not. No, I am definitely one of those layover gang folks. Even if it's just a short layover, I mean, there's always the concern, I guess, of luggage and whatnot. But if I'm having to fly to Australia, there is absolutely no way on this earth that I would get on a plane for 24 hours.
Well, so where would you do a layover if you're going to Australia?
Just wherever.
Just
literally anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere to make
Hawaii,
it a little bit shorter. So
like
so this flight in particular, let me just kind of set the stage for this one. This flight in particular left from the Airbus production facility in and I'm going to get butchered for this, Toulouse, France. I don't speak French. And it flew from there to Melbourne, Australia. And that is part of this whole thing from Qantas Airways in Australia to have direct London to Sydney flights, which would take a very long time. So that's why they're just doing these as tests. So nobody was on the plane except for the crew to do this massive flight. But if I'm flying from Europe to Australia, yeah, I would rather stop anywhere else. And I mean, that's kind of what it is now. If you're flying from Europe to Australia, you're going to stop probably in the Middle East, in Dubai, or maybe you'll stop at another place in Europe on the way there, or maybe you'll stop in India or Singapore, something to kind of split it up. And that's what I would want, because I mean, the longest flight I've ever done nonstop was probably only 12 to 13 hours. And
that's pretty long.
That was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only so many different positions you can try and get comfortable with in this seat.
Well, our listeners seem to be joining you here. Chad says it depends on if I'm sitting in first or business class. If I'm back in economy, I'm going to have to stop and stretch my legs. Skylar says it would depend on the type of flight. Same thing. Luxury seats, or it would be miserable. And Adamari says, how good are the cabin air filters? Doesn't want to think about riding in an airplane for 24 hours with the bathroom situation.
It's a good point. I mean, who hasn't been on a plane just for a couple hours and you're like, ooh, this bathroom, this needs some help. So much less this 24 hours?
Right,
Oof.
yeah.
Well, Janice says, is there a flight from Sandy to Parowan? That's as far as I go once a year for one night.
Sandy, good for her.
I'm 6'4" tall.
Oh, yeah.
And so whenever I'm flying, I'm eating my knees unless I'm flying in first class. And I don't fly first class. I can't afford to do that. But it's just so unbelievably uncomfortable and I boo-hoo, poor me. But there are so many other people that have all kinds of different challenges when they're flying, and to be just cramped on an airplane that long, it's just, I can't think of anything more miserable.
No, there's one of our texters. She says, or he, I'm sorry, I don't actually have a name on this one. 24-hour flight sounds like either a party or misery. I'd probably take a week and break the trip into 3 or 4 segments and spend a day at each stop instead. And I mean, if you're going to do a big around the world kind of adventure, I would much rather prefer that too. It's like, okay, well, let's spend a couple of days in this spot and then we'll go. And I mean, sure, it means you're living out of your suitcase and never really get to unpack, but I would much rather that than be on this can flying through the air.
It's not a vacation. Your best friend, Andy's getting married in Melbourne tomorrow night, and you got a flight. I mean,
well, first off, my best friends would not schedule something that spur of the moment.
Okay, but I
am not a spur of the moment
a month
person.
from now, whenever it is. But you're not. It's not a trip. It's not like, hey, let's spend a couple days in
But
Hawaii, let's go up to Alaska.
Even then, just to have a couple of hours at a stop to stretch your legs and eat something that's not airplane food and use a bathroom that's not constantly shaking around because of turbulence.
Right.
I mean,
well, I have a condition called restless leg syndrome. It is the worst thing you can imagine, and I have it every day. I have it every night, and I've also blown out both knees twice skiing.
Oh, sheesh.
So I get arthritis in my knee. If I sit for a long time, if my restless leg flares up, I have to walk. So unless the airplane has aisles that I can go walk, and I don't mean like for a 24-hour flight. I mean for like a 5-hour flight.
Right.
I absolutely have to get up and walk around, or it is misery. It's like the worst torture you can imagine. It's so for me, 24-hour flight. I guess I would say if there's a somebody on board that can, a doctor that can knock me out, just like here, take a breath of this, Scortis, and we'll wake you up in 24 hours. An anesthesiologist, I'm toast. There's no way I could do it.
Well, still, you have to, even if you get up and move around in the aisles, if you think about it like that, if everyone on those planes,
I know, that's
and
the problem.
these are usually the
Right.
wide body planes, so they've got 2 aisles, but they've also got several hundred people on the plane.
No, you can't do it.
I mean, is it a lottery system where we're just going to go row seat by seat, and okay, you get to go make a lap, and then okay, now you get to go make a lap.
So what you need to do is build a plane with a running track around it.
There you go.
Just have this kind of extra circle attached
Do you know if
to
they
the body.
did, people would be on that all day. I see people that must have the same condition I do, and they're usually in the back of the plane just standing, just kind of bouncing back from one leg to the other.
Well, they say that if you don't move on a plane, you like have a real high risk for like throwing a blood clot in your legs.
Yeah, you could
just
get
even
in
if you
trouble
don't have
that way,
restless leg
too.
syndrome, just in general. So
Right,
it's one of those scary like things that you've really got to think about. But I don't know. I mean, they are shooting to do this flight in 2027 between Sydney and London.
There's something to be said about getting it over with, though. I mean, 24 hours and just hope that you can sleep as much. I mean, you can't sleep for 24 hours, but, I can't sleep on airplanes either. That's
I can't
another,
sleep at all on an airplane.
That bothers me.
So a 24-hour, you're going to show up at your destination bright-eyed and bushy-tailed?
No, I'm going to show up miserable and, like, show me the hotel room.
So then even then, you're going to have to spend the whole first day of your trip trying to just sleep.
Well, the Ramones have that famous song, I Want to Be Sedated. That seems to me to be the only solution to, if you're gone in 24 hours, you're going to need some medical assistance to knock yourself out.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah.
So anyway, it's an interesting idea. Some people will do it. It might be fun. Maybe it's the party bus, and you just go on and have a 24-hour party, or maybe you just have nice beds and accommodations, and you go from there. Well, okay, we'll talk about that in the future too, and see how that works out. Coming up on Inside Sources, Utah, we're number 1 for the 4th year in a row. We came out as the top-ranked state in the country. But why? We'll tell you when we come back. Stay with us. And don't get
Most families get their financial advice in pieces. A financial advisor here, a CPA there, an estate attorney somewhere else. Everyone means well, but nobody's talking to each other, and those gaps can work against you. Trajan Wealth's family office brings wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning together, not as separate conversations, but as one coordinated system built around your life, your goals, and the people who matter most. Ours is a true family office, not one that refers you out because it's convenient. This kind of dedicated collaboration used to require a 7-figure net worth, but here's the game changer. Trajan kicked that door open. Trajan advisors are fiduciaries, always obligated, always honored to act in your best interest. Unlock your Trajan family office at TrajanWealth.com or call 1-855-TRAJAN-1. That's 1-855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Are you a local business tired of juggling deliveries, managing drivers, or sending valuable employees across town? There's a better way. Pigeon Ship. For more than 10 years, Pigeon Ship has provided fast, reliable, same-day and next-day delivery services for businesses throughout Utah. Whether you need a few deliveries a day or hundreds, Pigeon Ship has the network, technology, and experience to get it done on time. Auto parts, plumbing supplies, electrical components, pharmacy deliveries, and more. Utah's most successful businesses trust Pigeon Ship to keep their operations moving. Stop the stress of hiring drivers. Stop pulling employees away from their real jobs. And stop worrying about whether your deliveries will arrive on time. Join the thousands of businesses that rely on Pigeon Ship every day for dependable local delivery solutions. Visit pigeonship.com today to schedule a call and see how quickly Pigeon Ship can streamline your delivery operations. Pigeon Ship. Avoid the trip. Pigeon Ship. That's pigeonship.com. Pigeonship.com.
We wouldn't be celebrating America 250 if it wasn't for a strong foundation set by the framers. Hamilton built America's financial foundation on sound money, later embodied by the gold standard. But we abandoned that discipline in 1971 and have seen inflation erode the dollar's value. What's the foundation of your savings? Is it gold or something that can be devalued? Hi, it's Dr. Ron Paul, and I encourage you to speak with my friends at Birch Gold Group about diversifying an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Learn more by requesting a free info kit on gold IRAs. Just text the word SECURE to the number 989898. Let Birch Gold help you build your foundation with gold. Text the word SECURE to the number 989898. Text SECURE to 989898.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Coneflower Consulting creates thoughtful, accessible websites that help nonprofits, businesses, and mission-driven organizations better connect with their audiences and share the stories behind their work. CEO Sarah Bishop joins us with more.
Organizations making a positive difference in Utah communities deserve websites that amplify their impact. At Coneflower Consulting, we help mission-driven businesses, nonprofits, government agencies, and educational organizations create websites that tell their stories while being visually engaging, accessible, and easy to manage. Having recently relocated to Salt Lake City, we're excited to partner with organizations across our new state while continuing to serve clients nationwide. We believe a great website is more than a digital brochure. It's a powerful tool for building trust, inspiring action, and advancing your mission. From complete website design and redevelopment to content strategy, branding, search engine optimization, and analytics, we create digital experiences that help organizations reach more people and achieve greater impact. Beyond web design, we also provide strategic planning, group facilitation, and leadership development to help organizations thrive. We are proud to partner with people and organizations that are making Utah and the world a better place. Learn more at coneflower.org.
By helping organizations build stronger, more effective websites, Coneflower Consulting continues to support the people and missions, making it easier for them to connect, communicate, and grow their impact. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Inside Sources.
Well, this is an interesting study that came out by U.S. News and World Reports, and they are saying that once again, Utah is ranked number 1 in the nation for the 4th year in a row, which is a record, by the way. Not in every category. They have a couple that they're bad in. For example, natural environment, we'll talk about in just a minute. But yeah, Utah's number 1.
Well, good for us. These rankings are always fascinating to me. I love lists like this. And you know, a lot of people will look at that and say, well, we shouldn't be talking about the difficult ones, but we shouldn't I don't think we do the state any favors when we sweep our issues to the side. We need to acknowledge that pointing out the flaws in our state doesn't mean we don't love Utah. It same goes for the United States. I think acknowledging the issues close to home shows that we love our home even more.
So maybe we'll start with the bad. And one is that Utah ranked 48th. Now, this is a survey that includes a lot of categories. Utah did the worst in what they're calling natural environment. We ranked 48th out of the 50 states. In this category includes, they grade your state in terms of air and water quality and pollution. We do not do well in those areas. So the fact that we get 48th in one category and we're number 1 overall means we must have really been off the charts in some of the others.
That's absolutely right. Well, I'm just looking at this Deseret News article that is talking about it, and it says that it's the young population, I think, that has a lot to do with this, that Utah has the increasing number of young adults ages 25 to 29, and so I think this younger population is sort of an economic engine that is providing jobs and providing, it says, dynamism and innovation.
It's funny, Utah's not number one in anything, any one area, but we're number one overall because we do so well in other things. You're right. Young, dynamism, I never even heard that word. Innovation, fast-growing young population. Utah does very well in that category. Utah, it ranks well in terms of competition from other growing states. You know, Utah is, again, we sort of didn't do well in all categories, but Utah, and I would say this, and I have to give a shout out to our legislature, even though they're, you know, we have a super majority, let's face it, which is a problem, but they've done a good job of balancing the books, and Utah is always in line in terms of making sure that financially we don't get ourselves upside down, because, you know, at the bottom line, it sort of comes down to what it's the economy, stupid, they say.
Yeah.
And Utah's economy is great. I mean, we can complain about the fact that you can't afford a home in Utah anymore, but I mean, let's face it, unemployment is really low in Utah. Home values continue to go up every year. It's a good place to live if you're going to stick around for a while. Crime is very low in Utah compared to other states. And so you look at all the life factors and just the whole environment, you know, the family-friendly state. I mean, Utah, I can understand why we're number one.
Well, I can too. And it's interesting when they're talking about natural environment, we're ranked so low, but I can't think of any other place in the world that has so many amazing natural, the number of national parks that we have in Utah. I mean, Bryce Canyon and Zion National Park and all of these places. There's no place on earth like these places.
Right. You just can't see them.
Yeah.
because of the smoke.
Because
in
the smog's so bad.
Right. But they're really pretty. No, I'm just kidding. You're right. I mean, we have the 4 or 5 national parks in Utah, the Big Five, I think they're called. They're stunning. They're like nothing else in the world. And then you have the ski industry.
Yeah.
And we are called the greatest snow on earth for a reason, because ironically that desert air, that dry air produces snow that is a powder that you can only dream about. It's so light. I mean, nobody wants to ski in slush. And some states that have a lot of water, in their air, a lot of moisture in their air, you get a slushy or snowpack. Let's face it, Utah's is dry and fluffy, and it literally on a good powder day, maybe you've skied a lot, but it's like skiing on a cloud. It's literally like being on a cloud. There's nothing like it in the world. And then you can go down, 200 miles and you're at Capitol Reef. You're at Bryce or Zion in 3 or 4 hours, and no state offers that.
No, that's absolutely right. I'm not as big a skier as the rest of my family is. All of my children turned out to be athletes, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I don't know who their real father is, but it's amazing to me. And they've skied in all different places, and they all say that Utah is the best place to be.
So looking at Utah's economic success, this is a study by the U.S. News and World Report. Utah is the best overall state in the country. Economic success due to the gross domestic product, high labor force participation, abundant job growth, ranked 4th highest in business creation, and was highly ranked in patent creation. So, like you say, come to Utah and you'll flourish if you want to set up a business.
Well, the whole Silicon Slopes movement, that this is a high-tech mecca as well. We have all kinds of industry here that thrives from every sort of different field you could possibly imagine.
I can imagine that Utah's going to have some problem in some areas. I'm looking at the 2025 ranking. Utah moved down in a couple categories from a year ago, down in education, down in healthcare, infrastructure, opportunity, and fiscal stability. Apparently wasn't down very much, but it was down.
We're number 2 in fiscal stability. Were we number 1 last year?
We must have been number 1, because we came down in those. But like you said, overall we're still number 1. I think that as water resources and air quality continue to get worse in Utah, it's going to be hard to hold that position. But, no other state has won 4 years in a row since they started the survey, and Utah's done it.
Well, good for Utah. I look at this. It's interesting. Education, we're number 6. We always get beaten up because we spend so little per pupil.
Yeah,
on
even though
education.
that's gotten better, though.
But that has gotten better.
Legislature, they did a good job. Well, I'll tell you another reason why we're good in my book, and this is not something that was taken into account here, but we talked earlier with Jay Evenson about gambling and the insidious problem that it creates. And people are upset that Utah doesn't have a lottery, and we don't have a lottery because it's a form of gambling, that we don't have casinos. Well, that's obviously a big form of gambling, and we don't allow other things that would be akin to gambling. And I say, good for Utah. I mean, to me, I know those things raise money, and I know lotteries pay for schools and that type of thing, but and they can raise a lot of money, but they also can create problems. And I see from my own practice, my own experience as an attorney, the problems that come from gambling. And I just wanted to just talk for a minute or two about that, if you'd humor me, Jim. But I think that I know that's not part of the equation here, that Utah's laws, but I have to hand it to Utah that we don't allow gambling here. And I know that people cheat. I used to bet on my dad's football pool. He'd bring this little card home every Friday, and we'd sign up for it. And of course, I lost every week, but I'd bet $1, $10 or something like that. I'm sure some bookie went to prison one day because of all that. But now you can just go online and you can see it all. And I'm not going to tell you I've never gambled or played cards or poker or something like that. But you can do these things. We like to think that you can do these things and not get in a jam. I mean, you like to think that, certain drugs have good effects, that alcohol may have favorable effects. The problem is that people don't do those things in moderation, that people don't do those things smartly. And gambling is something that, if it's fun and you're playing cards with your friends, whatever, for poker chips or whatever. But when you start using your family's resources, when you start gambling the grocery money, when you start gambling something that and I have a friend who's, he's got a $30,000 debt right now for gambling, and he's going to pay that. I mean, the people that he owes that money to are not going to say, we'll forgive you, or, let's see how the bankruptcy works out. He's going to pay that debt, and think of what you could do with $30,000. Think of what you could do for your family and your kids. I mean, that's a year of college for some kids, and I know that if he had the opportunity if he got $30,000, if I gave him 30, he'd go bet it, hoping that he could get 60, and then he could pay me back and pay his people back. And it wouldn't work, and then he'd be 60 in the hole. So anyway, Utah's gambling, I would say we're number one with that too. I just wanted to give a shout out to Utah and our legislature for keeping